Yo. It's Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, got to fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Good morning. Salutations. We're in the building. Know what time it is. This is Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. Of course, I'm with my co-host, Righteous Reg. What's going on, bro?
In the building, it's your boy, your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster, media man. It's Saturday morning. I'm feeling good. I'm outside. No, I'm not outside. I'm inside. Very soon to be outside. It's feeling good out here. Philip Lindsey, how you doing?
Are you media man? Because there's another media man patrolling the streets.
Listen, somebody said we might have to have a ladder match, and I'm like, I don't. I'm not trying to get my ass beat though.
Listen, man.
That's all I'm saying.
Another media man patrolling these streets, draped in gold, doing a lot of interviews.
Damn. Looking good out there, too. No, they got Swerve outside for reals, Phil. Like, every time I open up my phone, he's at a different outlet talking about something, and I'm like, hey, yo, that's what I'm talking about. It's interesting because the last couple of AEW champions we've had have been, like, heel, or they haven't really been, like, the media type. So now they're just going full-fledged with Swerve, and it's like interesting. But I'm the real media man out here. Leave me alone.
Yeah, we've got for update purposes, because we've been following the comings and goings of Drake for the past few weeks. Pac's estate did send a cease and desist because he wanted to get into his AI shenanigans. Mm-hmm. And he was forced to take that down because they were threatening
that again. Yeah, this is not that surprising. You have to get permission, I think. I think that's a thing. You can't just use people's likeness, especially these people's likeness, like Tupac, bro.
You know, just one of the most relevant rappers of our time. You know, you can't just use his voice, but you know.
The bro's still relevant in 2024, and he died in 1996. I think like you still gotta get permission and do things like that. But yeah, with the quickness, he got it down too. They put out that article that was like, in 24 hours, all that shit better be gone. And in 24 hours, all that shit was gone.
Yeah. somebody saw that go up, and somebody on Pac's side was like, all right, say less. Let's get this taken care of. Speaking of say less, I laughed in our Ask Grapsody because Josh Gambino's back with new music, man. He's got the Kanye record out that's unreleased track. It's called Say Less. I liked it. I went to our group chat, one of our group chats, and I was the only person that liked it. I was like, oh, I guess I'm in this one alone. You guys got me in this alone, tricked into listening to Kanye again.
It's so funny because I'm like playing it and I'm like, not really feeling it. But I was like, maybe I just won't comment on it. And then like the other person in the chat's like, nah, not for me. And I'm like, yeah, same.
And it was funny because I knew straight away, like, yeah, nah, this is probably gonna be not for him. And then when I really thought about it, I was like, this doesn't sound like something that my friend would like either.
Yeah, when you go, Reg isn't probably gonna like this either. I'm like, yeah, no, correct. Wasn't for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Hey, I like that Gambino got that opportunity, especially if you know like Gambino history. This guy's been a Kanye fan for a long time, like going back as far as him being a rapper. Like there's been Kanye references, like it's just been that influence there for a long time. So I'm happy that he got this opportunity, but I can't.
Yeah, man. He made he got his ultralight beams moment.
He did.
It was nice for him. I don't know if I would say it's as good as ultralight beams, but you know, he got his moment. Looking forward to more Bino music as well, though.
Same here. Yeah, it seems like he's gearing up for something, which is super exciting because
And
anytime he puts out an album, it's such a like moment, and it like stays, and like a bunch of shit is created off of it. It's always a big experience.
yeah, I thought the most interesting thing about the record though was that he made it clear that he's coming with rap. It's all gonna be
Yeah.
rap. That he was told like we want to hear the rap since, so he's back with rap. Um, you know, to differing reactions from people, I guess.
Some people say that his raps are corny.
No, I mean, just based on who he is as a person, I can't see. I don't know. I can't see his raps being for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of like, if you know, like the show is way different, I feel, than his raps are. Like I feel like Atlanta, way more people can get into that and get behind that concept than they can of his raps for some reason. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people don't believe him as a rapper.
I know. I've seen that, but the guy's incredible to me. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
had,
like, what are you talking about? It's like that he's not a gangster rapper. I don't care about that.
yeah, he's had some of my favorite freestyles over the last 10 years as well. When he went on was that Hot 97 where he did the freestyle where he stopped in the middle and was talking about Trader Joe's doesn't have the juice he likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sway one too.
Yeah, Sway one was great.
Mhm.
He's got, of course, that the BET Cypher one as well. Ah, man.
Oh yeah, that one's dope.
Yeah, man. Stop hating on my guy.
My guy Don can spit. Everybody has a couple of corny lines in there. I might have a couple of them myself. You know, that's just what the game is like sometimes. You know, raps are raps, and sometimes they get to where they are. But yeah, that's gonna be dope. Some new Gambino. I'm sure that he'll be very outside with it, and everybody will hear a lot about it. Hip hop is. I'm so tired of. We're on Kendrick Watch, and we shouldn't be on Kendrick Watch. Like, academics has this. It's been blah 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 many days, and Kendrick hasn't responded, and it's
you
like,
know why he's doing that, right? He's got his OVO cape on, so you know.
But it's not like Kendrick is not on the clock at this point. I feel.
I mean, I think the fact that his verse is still on a #1 album song in America, and the fact that everybody's still responding to his verse tells you everything. I don't know.
Like I'm not on the clock if I'm still #1, and just like I said, every car in Oakland is still playing this song. That song is still super hot. No, brother, I'm chilling.
Yeah, I listened to To Pimp a Butterfly last night, and I was just like, no, this album still incredible, still amazing moment for hip hop. He's still that guy. I very briefly had Duckworth in my head because I somebody made an MV for Swerve with Duckworth, and I was just like, bro, I think it's fair to say like some of the guys coming at him, they don't have a Duckworth in their catalog, bro.
No, definitely not. That album, I'll continuously say it, we still don't know how great that album is. In 20 years, we'll look back and be like,
I think
wow.
we know how great it is.
Like, I don't think so, Phil. Like, it's been like,
we do.
Especially after the Cole track came out and people were like, yeah, he's right. To Pimp a Butterfly is. I'm like, wait a second, you guys.
I mean, I think that's microwave take
like
world
what?
Where people just want to be like, oh, well, it's just cool to be contrarian now. And so I'm not really buying into any of that. That still was an amazing album.
To Pimp a Butterfly is such an amazing record, like from top to bottom. Like that's like a 10 out of 10. Like Kendrick was like left the world for this, and that album is just so great. I love that shit. I can't wait till the next one. The last one that's still up for debate. There's a lot going on, but we'll definitely see. You guys got a couple super chats in here. I want to talk, see what you guys are saying about hip hop. Of course, you can submit your super chats and humper chats to us to read live here on air. Our friend Brandon Cavallero from last week says don't know if you remember, but I'm the metalhead from last week who asked about hip hop. I listened to No Vaseline, like you suggested, and I gotta admit the NWA story is pretty wild.
Yeah. Still one of the most savage diss tracks there is.
Yeah, if you guys have never seen Straight Outta Compton, one of the greatest hip hop's biopics there is in history, and it tells the story of this full thing, and it is one of the wildest stories in hip hop. The wildest part about me, for me, Phil, about this is that it was like 2 years. Like it was like from, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like a long time for NWA to exist with Ice Cube as the front leader and writer. It was like 2 to 3 years, and still they're still regarded as one of, or if not the greatest hip-hop group of all time, which is nuts.
Yeah. Isn't Tupac's time on death row kind of similar, where it was only like a year?
Yeah.
All of this was within a year. Like he got out of jail, and then he was on death row, and that spanned about a year, and he was dead by the end of that year.
Yeah, because the famous Source Awards was in 95, and they had a performance where Death Row had a performance, but Tupac was in jail, and they were trying to get him out of jail to be on the label, and that was in 95. So he got out. It seemed like that was 10 years worth of stuff that happened in that time, and then he passed away. It's like, yo, this is crazy. Brandon also says, if you want a crazy story from a metal side, check out the history of the band Mayhem. That story is insane.
Yeah, cool.
I definitely will check that out. But yeah, it's like there's been so many crazy hip hop stories like that, but the NWA one with No Vaseline being attached to it and everything in the story is like, there's not a lot that are like that.
Yeah, shout out to young O'Shea Jackson Jr. Great in that movie. Before people started hating him for wrestling takes and all these other things on Twitter, that was the thing that he was kind of known for, was playing his dad in that movie. Still fantastic portrayal of Ice Cube.
Absolutely destroyed that performance, man. Like the look, of course, but like, he nailed it. Like he pulled his dad off and enhanced the movie. Cause like, sometimes you get these movies and it's like that person doesn't like, how did you Tupac, they could never get right in like any movie ever. But like to know that they got like an official Ice Cube, his son, and like it made everything better. But yeah, I'm on your side with the Tupac. I don't think they'll ever get it right.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever get it right. Everybody tries to play him.
All Eyes on Me.
No, I just can't, man. I rather just watch like documentaries about Pac, because I feel like everybody that plays him tried to play him like a character, and it just doesn't work, man.
Dude, it never ever works. It's always like this over the top, like, come on, like, what are you?
I mean, I think the guy that played Biggie in his biopic was great as well.
I like that one. Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough to get this Pac one. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody will show up and get it right. The guy that played Pac in Straight Outta Compton wasn't terrible.
At one point they got to give up though, right? Because I can't anymore.
Well, they've made the biopic, so we're done.
We did it.
We're done. We're moving
but
on.
It's not over, because like they're still coming out with doc. It seems like every year they're like, we got a new Tupac, we found some new footage. I'm like, I'm not mad at it.
Stop it.
It's been so long, Phil. Like people are grown adults that died when he was a when he was a baby and they died. You know what I mean? Or whatever I'm trying to say.
Find another rapper and try and make something about their life. We've done the Tupac thing.
There's so many rappers: Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Grand Poobah. You know what I mean? Like you could go down the list. I'll start. Every time I say Grand Poobah, I think of that Chappelle show when DMX is on there and Chappelle's like DJing for him, and then he drops the stop, drop, and the DMX is like, I hate that song. And Chappelle's like, are you sure? And DMX is like, all right, I'll do it.
That's one I'm looking forward to, because I do think we're gonna eventually get a DMX.
We got to get a DMX one. Yeah, you're right. That one's gonna hit pretty hard. But that one's also sad. It might be like Tupac too. They might not never be able to get him right.
Yeah, I can see that as well. But I can see that being very sad. That documentary that they put out on HBO, like maybe a few months after he passed away, is very, very sad.
I can't. It hurts, Phil. Like it honestly, I haven't watched it yet because I can't. There's still some things, some deaths that I haven't processed fully, And every time I hear a DMX record, I'm like, oh yeah, DMX died. And it just messes me up.
This is where Joe Budden would play outstanding.
Definitely. Let's move forward with some more super chats. Of course, we appreciate everybody submitting. You guys are dope. This is going to be from our friend Van Twinblade, who I hope had an amazing time out in St. Louis. Because MFers don't watch the weather. We are in the middle of a 3-day severe weather outbreak. Nebraska and Iowa both had severe tornadoes yesterday, and today is supposed to be worse. Keep an eye out, y'all. Yeah, all our friends in those places and regions, stay safe. These elements feel like California, we deal with wildfires like every single year, and earthquakes, of course. But like when people talk about tornadoes, I'm like, what are you even saying?
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that life, hurricanes and all that stuff. I don't know
No,
about that.
like your toughest element is like snow, and it's just different, you know?
Yeah.
Like you could just stay in the house, but like a tornado was like, no, I'm coming for your house. I'm about to throw that in the air. So yeah, shout out to everybody out there experiencing anything crazy like this, because that's scary. Anthony Cruz says, love you guys. Usually I'm on Spotify listening. Here is some support. Thanks, Anthony Cruz. Appreciate you showing up to the live stream to give us some love.
Appreciate you.
Yep. Brandon Cavallero also says, just so you know, Mayhem make pretty bad metal music. It's just the band's history is crazy. From church burnings to murder is pretty wild.
Whoa.
I think you sold it right there, Brandon. As I've seen on a lot of Netflix documentaries, sometimes the content of who's being presented doesn't matter. It's just the story, you know?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times we get things like this where the story is better than the actual music from some people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not that surprising.
Exactly. Like you go back and you're like, I'm going to check out this subject. And you're like, oh, okay. The story is a lot more interesting than the content is. Bridget Hewlett says, very generous super chat. Appreciate you. I think you both are awesome. What is your favorite wrestling moment?
It almost feels cliche, but it's still Kofi Mania for me, man. Kofi Mania was just so special, man. Just like finally seeing him get his moment at WrestleMania, everything attached to it, man. It's a really special moment.
I ran from my seat because I was emotional. Like I didn't want anybody to see me. Like I ran away. It was how it was. Yeah, just everything attached to that. Bryan Danielson's on the other side. Like that's number one live and not live. Like even if I wasn't live, I still would have had that same thing. But also on the list is WrestleMania 30. Like the streak ending. I've talked about it multiple times, but you guys, if you weren't there and like experiencing that and never thinking this guy's streak's gonna end, and then the 1, 2, 3, and the entire arena's like, what? Like that's the most confused that's the most confused I've ever seen. That many people like just looking side to side, and everybody's like, and then the conspiracy theories immediately started. People were like, that wasn't supposed to happen. The referee did. I'm like, no, it's supposed to happen. As soon as the 21-1 came up, people were like, ah! I was like, I'll never experience anything like that again.
It just made me think of something else.
Oh, because I did that. Somebody. Reggie Simmons says, just for the Grand Poobah reference alone. What's up, fam? What's up, Reggie?
Appreciate you, man. Listen, man, come here for the wrestling talk. Get everything else that comes with it.
You know what time it is. Ronin Mike Clip says, happy Grapsody, everyone. I saw Gambino perform during the 2018 NBA All-Star Weekend, and it was legit one of the best live performances I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen him live, I think twice. He's always great. Really good performer. Yeah, got some playoff basketball in the midst of, speaking of NBA All-Star Weekend.
Playoffs.
Of course, the Chicago Bulls are not in the playoffs because they could not get their shit together in the play-in tournament. But I suspect that they would have got dog walked by the Celtics anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Celtics are still the Celtics. People scoffed at me when I saw what the matchups were going to be, and I said, yeah, Celtics in 6. And people were like, Celtics in 6? You think Heat are going to win a game? You saw this week. Yes, he did win a game, and I do think they're going to win another one because the Celtics are a very wishy-washy team.
Totally.
Yeah, we got Denver still being Denver. Denver still looks like the team to beat. I still believe they are going to be the 2024 NBA champions.
Agreed.
Until I'm proven wrong.
And
they have
dog walking the Lakers. The Lakers are like, I don't know what. Just throw it all away. Throw it out.
They haven't played their best game of basketball yet. They have been behind in every game, and they're still beating these guys handedly. That game winner in game 2, you can tell in a moment where the opposition's soul is just completely broken. They are completely crushed. I felt it after they hit that shot. You could see it. You could see the Lakers' souls die. And I was just like, yes, I'm here for this energy. Listen.
That's where AD was after in
he
the
threw that mic down. I got very good laughs after that game as well, because it very much felt like I tweeted this and I don't think people got the reference, but after he hit that shot, you could see AD on their side, like falling all in the bench, and they're like celebrating. LeBron's like following the ref around saying, man, why you ain't call that foul? And the first thing I thought about was, man, put on the beat. I was like, yeah.
Put on the beat. No, y'all lost, man. It's over.
Yeah, it's over, bro. Like, all of them were online complaining about calls. They were in interviews complaining about calls. Like, no, y'all lost, bro. Y'all had a 20-point lead and y'all lost, bro. Enough.
Put on a beat, bro. Put on a beat. That's it. It's over with. You complaining like the press conference. It's so funny, like in the playoffs when a team loses and they talk to the losers and they just don't want to be there. And the way that they just storm off is like, I understand, but it's like, damn, man. It's like,
I mean,
you want to show some grace, don't you?
I just thought it was funny that they all in that next game, and don't get me wrong, it was a bad call that they were talking about. They're talking about the call from the third quarter where your boy D'Lo got hit in the face. They reviewed it and for some reason still didn't call the foul. It was a terrible call, but that was in the third quarter. They were still up 10 points. What are you talking about?
Come on, dude.
Yeah, everything about this is funny. Denver Nuggets have now beat LeBron and the Lakers 12 times in a row. I believe LeBron missed one of those games, so they've technically only beat LeBron 11 times in a row.
Oh,
but wow. Own this team. I suspect that we're getting a sweep tonight. I think the series is over with. And even if it's not over tonight, it is over, guys. They are not going to beat this team. The Timberwolves still look like great. They're a fun team to watch. Anthony Edwards is getting his shit off, chirping at people afterwards. He was getting his DX chops in last night. Very entertaining guy to watch play, man. Playoffs have been a lot of fun, man. Philly Knicks has been a fun series. Shout out to Embiid. He was out there playing with Bell's palsy the other night, which is insane.
Yeah, I saw that story and I was like, what happened?
But yeah, Knicks look fun. And absolutely, you are absolutely right. Everything pro wrestling. Kobe White did get robbed. He should have been most improved player this year. But it is what it is. Shout out to Tyrese Maxey. He's a good player, man. I don't want to hate too much on the guy. But I do think that Kobe White should have been most improved player.
It happens how it happens. It becomes like a popularity contest and all these things and, politics. So,
Yeah. Dallas is beating up on these Clippers too. I thought the Clippers were going to have a better showing. Kind of feels like that 1-2 punch of Luka and Kyrie might move on to the next round. Go figure.
They just don't want me to have a California team in this playoffs, Phil. And
you weren't going to root for the Clippers.
Clippers. I mean, I wasn't at all, but they were my last hope. I was going to try maybe.
You weren't going to root for no Clippers, man.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, all those people that got all upset at Charles Barkley because he told you guys the Lakers and the Warriors weren't that good. They weren't a threat. Boy, he's looking right. And watching him gloat the other night, I had the time of my life. He came out immediately with the broom. Skinny Smith was behind him talking about that's not funny. And I was like, no, this is pretty funny.
That's pretty funny.
I think this is pretty funny, man.
It's crazy. That's the thing that I've been thinking about is like Steph's gone. LeBron's about to be out. Like all the old guard.
Guys are old.
It's over, man. Like they really are the old guard now. And the young go-hards are out there killing them. They're lighting them up. It's feels like it's about speed. It's about like these young teams are getting it done quickly. They're not trying to go 7 games. They're not trying to do any of that. And the older players need those 7 games to try to win, and it's just not happening for them.
Yeah, it's good to see like some of the younger generation guys looking better. Like I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has looked great as well. OKC, I think people want to keep trying to say they're a weak team, but came out and blew those guys out the other night.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like I think Orlando looked good the other night against Cleveland. Like I said, Timberwolves look good as well, man. The young guys is moving up, man. Old guys, you don't get better, man. Sorry, man. Bron is gonna be 40 next year.
Yeah.
It's almost that time, man. It's almost that time to call the end of an era.
Just time to become a broadcaster. Keep getting your money over there on the other side. But
Yeah,
it's like
he'll be in Vegas. He'll own a team or something.
Like you said, you don't, as an NBA player in them type of sports, you don't get better as you get older. You just like the young guys get younger and stronger and faster, and it's just hard to keep up. But I mean, you're gonna have his sons in there eventually, right?
Maybe.
It's
always tough for a son of a great player. Like, man,
yeah,
they're rarely good. They're rarely as good as their dad or good enough to make a splash.
Except for it seems like in football, it's a lot. It seems like the second generation of football are killing it.
Yeah, that's true. I do agree, Raph. Chris Paul is never winning a ring, guys. It's not happening.
What a waste of fucking time, dude. Like, we knew it at the beginning when they signed him, like, this is a bad idea. And then it was a bad idea even more than we thought. I'm like, what is this dude doing? He's going to get on another team and just do it again, Phil?
Yeah, I think they got to get rid of that contract, bro. I can't see how the Warriors keep that contract. They got to get rid of that guy.
They got to get rid of a lot of contracts, honestly. This offseason is going to be, next season for the Warriors is about to be very interesting. Let's continue with some super chats. Auntie Collins says, today is my first day off in 6 weeks.
Hey,
all the love.
That's a long stretch. Hopefully you got some plans today, and even if you don't, just kick it, man. It's always a good day to just hang out in the house.
If I work for 6 weeks, I would have nothing to do today but get high. So shout out to Auntie Collins. Thanks for spending your first day off in 6 weeks with Phil and I over on Grapsody. Van Twinblay says, also St. Louis crowd for hater of the week, F Jericho. Yeah, no, St. Louis did not like Jericho at all, Phil.
Nah, they wanted no parts of that guy.
I mean, can you blame them?
We'll get it. We'll get to it, man.
Yes, boy says, shout out to Stephen Smith and Dallas Irving. Really cool seeing 2 black referees recently hand gold to Trick Williams and the Swerve Strickland.
That was very dope. I was really excited when I saw Steph out there during the main event of Dynamite. Not Dynamite, Dynasty. Sorry.
Yeah, seeing that him presenting the belt at the beginning was like, oh yeah, this feels great. And then him presenting it at the end, also great. And shout out to Trick Williams, who has what a trajectory for that guy, man. Like going from being Trick's second, essentially his heater, to being the NXT champion. That's a hell of a way.
Yeah, going from being a veritable no-name to being Melo's sidekick and his hype guy, and then just getting more and more over, like, to now this guy is undeniable down there. He's now your new NXT champion. I believe he's only the 5th black NXT champion. Let's do the math in my head so that I know that I'm not getting this right. There's Big E, then Keith Lee, Carmelo, Trick. I said 5.
Yeah, you said 5, but that was only 4.
Maybe it's only 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Trick Williams. Yeah, if I'm wrong on this 5, on it being 4, then I'm sure somebody will yell at me. But yeah, by my math just now, it's 4.
I'm like, I can't think of who the other guy would be if it was. I think it is just 4. But yeah, shout out to Trick Williams being one of them illustrious NXT guys to NXT black guys to get over just being the NXT North American champion. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, shout out to him.
trick. Whoop that trick. Whoop that trick is over everywhere,
Super
you know?
over.
So
That guy is super over right now. Really cool to see it, man.
Bianca Leia says, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. Can we celebrate multiple black champions and no Brock Lesnar to belt block? Salute." That is a good time.
Yeah, really cool to see just this week so many black champions. Both seeing that with AEW and NXT, getting to see a black woman be the #1 overall draft pick as well. Really cool, man.
Yeah, a lot of dope stuff happening for black wrestlers out there. When they're lining up the pictures with Athena and Obi Femi and all these people, I'm like, you guys don't understand how long of a way we've come.
Long way, man.
Jay Stone says, Braun, Durant, and Steph all getting washed got me feeling old. Shout outs to Grapsody and shout outs to the EST, the #1 draft pick in all of WWE. Yeah, Jay Stone, that's kind of how I feel too. It's like, damn, that's our generation of age and players, you know, Braun, Durant, Steph, and like they're getting up there, and so are we.
Yeah, I've already accepted it.
It is what it is. I mean, it's inevitable. It's not the worst. I'm feeling better. I'm almost 40. Every time I say this to this one woman, she says, "Ew," and I'm like, that's not funny.
Hey, man, it is what it is, man. We all got to get old.
That's all of our super chats for now. Y'all are dope.
You got some humper chats as well. Of course, if you want to send us your humper chats, humperchats.com/Fightful. Excuse me. Before I get into humper chats, just want to take the time to, again, I already said it on Ask Grapsody, but just wanted to reiterate, rest in peace to the homie Trey D from We Love Wrestling. Can't say that we were like the biggest, like the best friends or something to this guy, but I respect a lot of what he did with his outlet. When you see a lot of outpouring online from especially indie wrestlers, that just goes to show how hard he went for the wrestlers, how much he supported them. And that's what this is all about. That's what it should be about when you have a podcast or an outlet. It should be about uplifting the wrestlers and giving them a platform, and he did that, and you could see how much of an impact he had on people. As much as we've come on here and did like condolences, I did not think we would ever get on here and be saying condolences to another content creator. That just sounds wild to me, but especially somebody we just seen 2 weeks ago in Philadelphia. Yeah, just terrible news, but rest in peace to him. Condolences to his friends and family.
Yeah, rest in peace to We Love Wrestling, Phil. Just like you saying, the outpouring responses I've seen paying tribute to him have been so many from all sides of wrestling, and that just shows me how much of a mark he left. Like, I knew that he was out here, you know, making noise and doing this thing for the wrestlers, but seeing that, just like, oh yeah, he made even a bigger mark than I'm sure that he even knew. Rest in peace to that guy. Like I was saying on Ask Grapsy, the mission statement that I had coming into this space of like, it's not about me, it's about these wrestlers, it's about getting the word out about these promotions. That's exactly what he was doing continuously at wrestling shows, continuously supporting wrestlers every single week, every single day. So rest in peace to the homie. Coming on saying rest in peace is getting old at this point.
Yeah, I mean, such is life. But yeah, I didn't realize he was based in Indianapolis. So, well, I don't know if it's Indianapolis, but Indiana. So he was close. But because I would wonder, like, I would see him at a lot of shows. He'd be here sometimes for shows. It just seemed like if I was in the vicinity for wrestling, I would usually see him somewhere. So yeah, really sad that he left the mark he did, and you know, he is no longer with us.
It's unfortunate.
But yeah, let's hop into some humper chats. Let's see. I know we got some from Humper Chat faithful Tony P.
Yes.
Probably should have refreshed and made sure I got all those in front of me before I jumped into our condolences. So I wasn't just sitting here looking at the screen. But alas, from Tony P, he says, just want to say there will not be a $50 plus humper today. LOL. Thank you, though, to both you and Will for making a space that felt comfortable as a black man that hasn't always felt able to fit in anywhere. Thank you. Hey, man, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming in usually and helping us drive the conversation, bro.
Yeah, I feel like last week the whole episode was just based off Tony P. Humpercat. So shout out to Tony P for helping us out here. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Let's see. More from Tony B says, Jack hit his father, Christian's hug move, and then attacked his biggest op. That 8 months of his career. Then TK getting hit with the move named after him as Big Kazoo channeled his Scott Hall. The new elite are the petty of the week winners. Yeah, it's probably pretty hard to not say that those guys. I mean, when you're gonna just fire off on your boss on national TV like that, it's probably them.
And the way that Jack did it, like he said, with the hug and everything, definitely 100%. We're gonna get into it.
Yeah. Also says WWE main roster didn't move me much this week, unlike NXT. Congratulations to Trick and Kiana for their recent successes. A lot of black excellence this week. That speed belt design is most deaf for kids. Also, is it me or are they slowly doing rematches more often again? I have not seen this speed belt. Have you seen this, Reg?
I've glanced at it. I've seen a picture of the homie Ricochet with it, but I haven't seen it as good as I really want to. That's so people are like calling it the Twitter belt, and I'm like, I mean, that is kind of what it is. Where do you think Ricochet stands on this, Phil? Like, do you think this is? Does it feel like, I don't want to say a demotion, but does it feel crazy for him? You think?
I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of WWE Speed. I still have not seen any of the matches from it.
They're only 3 minutes.
The concept of it seems interesting, but I still haven't seen any of it, so I can't really comment.
That's what's really funny about it to me is like they were like, if we make it 3 minutes, people like Phil Lindsey will watch it, and you're like, I haven't seen none of it.
But it isn't for me. It's for this era of like TikTok people. I mean, well, TikTok might be out of here.
Oh yeah, touchy subject.
But it's for this era, just way that you can get quick social media engagements with the matches. And I mean, on that level, I get it. It's relevant. Like that's kind of what this era is. They want quick and fast content, and so I get it. But that's not really something I'm gonna take the time to be watching and reviewing. I'm good.
Listen, I love spot food. I love fast shit. I love it. But 3 minutes is like, you guys are. Let's be serious here. At 5, I would have been in. Maybe 7, I'd be like, this is a great concept. But 3 minutes is silly. Like, soon as the match like gets into gear, it's over, and like not in a good way.
Yeah. More from Tony P. He says on the AEW side, they had a very good week. Willow and Swerve are champs. The draft covered them. Perry got to shine. Also, surprise shine of the week was Mina. She tweeted, if people want to see more of her I think he means in and out of the ring, that thing got 3K fast when I last seen it. Yeah, Mina's quickly becoming wrestler to keep an eye on in America, which is dope because it seems like this is something she's been working toward for a while. But that seems like a good spot to get into pay-per-view because we did have a pay-per-view on Sunday night. AEW Dynasty took place in St. Louis. Boy was in the building. Really, really great show. I feel like we came away from Revolution like, man, that felt like kind of an all-timer. Mm-hmm. And I felt the same coming away from this show. I felt like this is one of the best AEW pay-per-views I've ever seen.
There was points in the middle with like the Jericho and the hook thing where I was like, you guys, I don't really know what we are doing here. But then we got to the last 3 matches of this show, and I was like feeling exactly like how you are, just like blown away by what I had seen. There's so many great moments throughout this show. I'm just so upset that I wasn't in the building to see Swerve Strickland himself be crowned the new AEW World Champion. That moment, Phil, it's up there, man. Like I was talking about Kofi Mania a little bit ago and how like live or at home, it's still a great moment. That's exactly how I feel about this. I wasn't there live, but it still hit just as hard, just like knowing everything that went into it, knowing everything that happened to get to this moment of Swerve winning this championship. I wasn't there, but hell of the homies were there. Like there were so many cool elements out of this. And just like Bryan Danielson was connected to Kofi, I love that Samoa Joe was connected to Swerve's win. It just like means so much as an indie wrestling person for so long that those guys got to the big time. Two guys who like at one point they considered Joe and Bryan like, you guys will never make it here. They called Bryan too small. They called Joe not marketable, blah blah blah. These guys both exactly like, what are you talking about? These guys both made it to the promised land, and those were the ones to, you know, give the honors of creating these first Black world champions. It's amazing, man.
Yeah, we got 3 pre-show matches. Not much to write home about other than the last one, because Bullet Club Gold defeated the Acclaim to unify the trios belts. I thought that this was a good match. They had us on the edge of our seats with the booking of one Mr. Billy Gunn again. I thought they were going to do it to us again because this guy was very much getting booked like Hogan in this match, where he's no-selling all his offense. He looked like the strongest guy in the world. Everybody was eating all of his moves, and I was just like, please don't do this to us again. Do not have Billy Gunn single-handedly beat Bullet Club Gold by himself. But Jay White put him away with a Blade Runner at the end. They are the unified trios champions. I don't know if there's a title for that, but
before that, though, Philip Lindsey, getting to the match, one Max Caster had were there extra bars? What was that at the end there? He like the beat dropped and he went a cappella.
Kill a beat.
Yeah, what happened there? What was up with that?
Boy, don't get it mistaken. I know we've seen a lot of the stuff online where Max Caster seems to be getting more hate than usual, but those guys are still very much over in front of a live crowd. Yeah. The pop when they came out, the reaction to his rap, a lot of his punchlines hit. When he went a cappella, that crowd popped for it. The crowd was into it, and I was like, go figure. Maybe Max is cooking. Because he hasn't had one in a while, one of these raps before his entrance, during the entrance, that really hit like this. I felt like, man, maybe we're back. And I was like,
there's been some controversy because a couple of those bars were pretty on the line there. And then he tweeted a couple of days ago, I am suspended. But then they announced a match for Collision tonight. The Grizzled Young Vets versus the acclaimed Max Caster and Anthony Bowen. So,
yeah, I don't know. I think he was just trolling people with the suspended thing.
Feels like it. Yeah,
I think a lot of stuff he's doing online is trolling. But yeah, I thought this was a good match. I thought that was a great reaction for Max. I think that's a good sign for the Acclaim moving forward as a tag team, and I definitely think that's the way to go. Get these guys out of the trio division, get them back in the tag team division.
Billy Gunn, nice knowing you. Have a great time. You did your Hogan bit, but we're out of here. They finally made the right decision though and combined these championships. It's been a struggle for so long. Just have these be one set and don't change it ever again.
Virgin, it's all right. We don't need 2 sets of trio.
We don't. We got it.
We opened with a fire match. Kazuchika Okada taking on Big Jordy Lad Pack. This was, man. I was surprised this opened the show. And so I thought, maybe, they're not going to go, full gas. I was wrong. These guys went full gas. This guy, Okada, very, very popular with this crowd. Very, very over. This guy at one point could do no wrong. The crowd was into everything he did. And then he got ready to do the Rainmaker pose, and everybody was ready to cheer. And he was like, nope, fuck out of here. And it worked. This guy got booed almost out of the building after that.
It's really, so funny because cool. That's such a cheap heel. Like that's so that's nothing. Is like if I flip them off, it'll work. And it worked so hard. The crowd was
It
like,
worked.
absolutely not, dude. Do not flip us off.
It worked so well. He absolutely flipped that crowd, man. They were booing him from then on. Really, really good stuff. Pac looked phenomenal. That dive he did to the outside, man, just what? I mean,
How?
there were several things in this match that just weren't crazy, that looked crazy. I don't want to go through spot versus spot, but man, it just looked really good.
The
Okada still had,
DDT on the barricade where Pac looked like he broke his neck. Ugh.
yeah, yeah. Pac looked great. Okada still has the best drop kick in wrestling.
Yeah.
Seeing this guy wrestle in person will never get old to me. I just still think it's crazy that this guy is wrestling in America at this point. At one point, I'll accept that that's reality, but he's kind of seamlessly fit into AEW's ecosystem. It's wild to think about that. He's been there 2 months, going on 2 months. Because he
March.
debuted right after
Yeah.
Revolution, so
Mhm.
close to 2 months. And he's already fit in seamlessly. Him and Ospreay, I think they both fit in seamlessly with AEW. This match was really good. I think it's going to go down as one of the best openers for an AEW pay-per-view, and it kind of set the tone as well because the crowd was really, really into this match. The St. Louis crowd made this match and this pay-per-view better throughout.
Yeah, shout out to the St. Louis crowd. Legit. Like this pay-per-view was great. There's a lot of great matches on it, but it was enhanced by how lit the crowd was. The crowd was just there was moments where I was like, okay, they're probably gonna be down. Like there's no way they're gonna come back up. And then the crowd came back up. It's like, yo, no, that crowd was there to do it. We coming into Ospreay and Okada being signed, Phil, we thought like, how are these guys gonna convert to being like American TV wrestlers? Like, is it gonna be like a transition, gonna be a struggle? Not at all. These guys
No.
like seamlessly came in. Ospreay is like, I've been here my whole life. Okada is like, it feels like it feels weird watching him. Like it's like we shouldn't be doing, like it shouldn't be happening. Like that's how great Okada is. And in this match, he was 100% Okada. The little smirks he had, the drop kicks were insane. He's just a 10 out of 10 wrestler. Like everything he does, every position that he's in is like, wow, you're great at this. And Pac is like so good at bumping and selling that you forget how great his offense is. He gets into his offense and you're like, oh yeah, he's amazing at that too. Like just an amazing wrestler. This match was the perfect way to kick off the show. And I was like, damn, what's to come? Like what could happen after this? And a lot was happening after that.
Yeah, of course, Okada won here. Not much of a surprise there. He is still your AEW Continental Champion. Then we got the trios match after this. I continue to say this. House of Black is really good at trios wrestling.
They are.
Their trios matches are just so entertaining. This was a very fun match, way better than I expected it to be. House of Black took on Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and the Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe. This was a lot of fun. I won't say that it's probably like my favorite match of the night, but again, House of Black, man, they're really good at trios wrestling. Personally, my favorite trios champions in the company. I wouldn't be mad if they got those belts back. I've said that more than once because they're just good at trios wrestling.
And I like them feuding with Bullet Club Gold too. I think that's a dope feud. Yeah, recently AEW has been doing, it seems like the last couple of weeks, they've been doing these trios matches and they all have been cooking for some reason. Whoever's doing the trios matching producing or whatever is going off. And I thought this was another one of those. Someone was saying it's a collision main event. Like, yeah, it is, totally is. But it's a super fun match. You want to get Adam Copeland on the card. You want to get Eddie Kingston. You want to get Briscoes. You want to get all these people on because, like Phil said, House of Black, they're great together and they're still so over. It's just like fans, their fans are die hard. Like Malachi Black's fans are like, this is the guy. We don't care about nothing. Anytime he's there, this is what it is. But this was just one of those fun, everybody's getting their shit in. They did my least favorite spot, the waterfall spot, but that's what happens in these trios matches. Really fun stuff.
Yeah, House of Black picked up the win to some people's surprise. I predicted that they would win. It seems like they're probably going to go with Malachi versus Copeland at some point moving forward.
Yeah,
and
I can see that at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, and that sounds like a fire TNT title match. But But yeah, this was a lot of fun to me. We got a lot of good trios matches coming out this weekend because the trios matches on Collision were also very good.
Telling you.
It just went to show. I kept saying like, man, trios matches are fun. It's just the way they've booked those belts hasn't been as fun.
It's
So
like
hopefully
attach
this,
the belts to that. That's what I don't get. It's like you got the dope trio shit, but you don't have the belts attached to that.
yeah, hopefully this is the turnaround that the trios division needs. They've got good teams. They can put on good matches. I just haven't enjoyed the booking of those belts. But we've got things we can do. We've got upcoming teams. Top Flight and Andretti are moving up in that division. So hopefully that's a good sign. We got Willow Nightingale taking on Julia Hart for the TBS title in a House Rules match. This is pretty much what I expected based on how limited I assume Julia Hart is. Fair play to her. I think they still did quite a bit with her in the match. It still was an enjoyable match. Only went 6 minutes, but served its purpose, told the story. Willow is your new TBS champion. Absolutely the right choice. It was really cool seeing her get her moment. Really cool to see her in the press conference and stuff afterwards. Get as somebody that's a champion, she deserves all the good things. One of the best baby faces in the company. Can't say much else other than that.
I bet it was good to see her in the presser. Hey, feeling all right. Come on, give me a break here. No, that was another great moment of this pay-per-view was seeing Willow get a payoff, essentially. Like all the stuff that she's been doing in the build-up to this, getting the live promos, getting all the backstage segments, just getting to be present in front of these crowds and build up her name. And then getting to get a big moment like this was awesome. I love Mercedes coming out at the end to ruin her moment. I'm like, oh, I love this game that they're playing because they're still going off the story of their first match of Mercedes feels like Willow ruined her moment. She like, I was set up to win this championship. I was set up to have this big moment and you ruined it. So every big moment that you have, I'm going to ruin it.
Yeah, I really like how they've advanced the story with Willow and Mercedes every step of the way. This feels like the best storyline that Willow has been a part of. I know people are already saying because the match has been announced for Double or Nothing, Willow versus Mercedes, that if Willow loses, this is bad for Willow. I totally disagree. This is the best. This is the best storyline she's been in. She's gotten to do the wrestling. She's gotten a chance to do on-screen promos in front of the live crowd. I think that she's benefited a lot from this feud moving forward. So, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out over the next few weeks, getting into Double or Nothing.
I mean, having Mercedes' first feud out of the gate, Phil, like, how is that? How could that be anything bad about that?
First match announced for Double or Nothing, and based on what we saw in Dynamite, they're putting a lot of importance on this match. Yeah, I don't know. But we'll get into that as well. We got Roderick Strong taking on Kyle O'Reilly. Man, this match hit. Every time you give me a chance to see Roderick Strong hit people with stiff knee strikes and smash their back against his knee, I am gonna have a great time. And boy, he was hitting them backbreakers. Your boy Kyle O'Reilly was selling it like money. Kyle was hitting all the spots, doing all the rebound shots off of the rope. Really, really, really great match, man.
Listen, if as ROH young boy, if this was an ROH main event back in the day, it would be 5 stars. Like this is how, just because of what this card was and the matches that came, it kind of got buried. But these guys were going at it, brother. I'm talking about the strikes, the chops. Kyle O'Reilly selling is that's his bread and butter. Like he's great at a lot of things, but just selling and building back up and just using his heart to get the crowd into it. There's not a lot of people better on the entire roster in the entire wrestling industry than Kyle O'Reilly at that. This match was just like meat and potatoes, 2 guys out here fighting to see who's better. I like this match a lot.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite matches of the night, low key. I thought it was a lot of fun. Of course, Kyle O'Reilly lost here. Roderick Strong is still your international champion.
That's for a little bit more time. Yeah, for now.
Seemingly for now, but man, what a fun match. We then got Chris Jericho taking on Hook, FTW match. Very interesting
I'm thirsty.
Reactions to this match because some people would believe that this did exactly what Jericho wanted to do. He went out
Would they?
there. He
Sure.
went out there and he soaked up the heat. The crowd responded to everything he was doing in character. They booed him when they were supposed to, and it did what it was supposed to for Hook. Hook got the big pay-per-view feud. He got a big match against a star in Jericho. But what did you think of this match?
That's all good and well, Philip Lindsey. But I would have liked this match better if they would have shaved like 5 minutes off of it. I thought the dramatic I'm sorry, I love you at the end spots Chris Jericho were doing were a little over the top. It's like we don't have this emotional attachment like you think we do. But yeah, I guess if that's the point, then blah blah blah. But I thought it was kind of dumb. I did it in this card and what's going on here in this match, it just didn't fit.
Yeah, this was my least favorite match on the show. I just thought it was too long. I think you could have told the same story in least time.
Yeah.
I think the crowd was into the match. I think the crowd was booing, but sometimes I know people are going to be like, "Oh, well, it worked for Jericho because he got the heat," but it very much felt like go away heat at times. It didn't feel like the intended heat. It felt like, "Hey, I don't want to keep watching what you're serving us, sir." And maybe
They
everybody
chanted, please retire at one point.
yeah, and maybe everybody in the crowd didn't feel that way. Maybe it turned into everybody was playing along, but for me, I didn't really need this. I mean, I'm happy Hook got a big moment on a pay-per-view. I don't understand why he needed to beat Hook. I also understand though the argument that the FTW title had become kind of an anchor for him. It wasn't really doing anything for him other than the legacy attached to his dad. And now you have the chance to move him up and do other things with him. Maybe move him into the TNT title picture. But yeah,
Why would Chris Jericho be the one to do that though? Like you could
but
give that honor to someone else. That's the part that don't make sense to me.
Yeah, but that's the part that I think that makes that argument fall apart. Like, yeah, it has become an anchor for him, and yeah, you could have got that belt off him, but why did you need to put it on Chris Jericho of all people? Like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it got a good reaction. It made for a good experience in an audience. As far as like people booing, I mean, the St. Louis crowd pretty much took over and made that a fun experience. But I can't see myself at home enjoying watching how long this match was, man. And there were just so many things in it that was just like, that we really need that. Jericho taking that table spot and then kicking out. I was just like, come on, what are we doing?
Why'd you do that? Dude?
Why are we doing this, bro?
And I mean, the table spot looked good too. It's like, okay,
the table spot looked great. That should have been the end of the match. You do all this stuff at the end of the match with Jericho telling the story of, I told Hook to stay down, so I had to keep doing things to make him stay down. And yeah, I get it. I get what you think you're telling us is that nobody's kicked out of two Judas effects. It took two Judas effects to put this kid away. That put him over, but nobody's talking about Hook after this. They're only talking about you.
That wasn't the feeling I got after that. It was like Hook was valiant in that. I was like, no, why did Chris Jericho win this match? I think the runtime on this, Phil, they said was 16 minutes. Like, you guys you don't need 16 minutes for this, dude. You could have did this in 10. You could have did everything that you did in 10. 16 minutes here.
Yeah, it was just too long for me.
Luckily, like you said, the St. Louis crowd enhanced it. Like if the crowd wasn't there, this would have been one of the worst matches in a long time.
This could have died an ugly death without that crowd. So it is what it is. Not my favorite match of the night, but maybe other people enjoyed it. I don't know. Wasn't for me. We got Timeless Toni Storm taking on Thunder Rosa. I thought both of these women came out with something to prove. Thunder Rosa, coming back off the injury, has been trying to work herself out of ring rust and get better and better. Toni Storm has been trying to battling this online discourse of people saying that the character work has overtaken everything else and the matches haven't been as good. I think this was her best title defense as champion in this character. I think she showed a lot in this. I thought the promo she cut on Collision the day before was incredible.
Yeah.
I thought And like I said, I thought she came out with something to prove in this match, especially with the story between her and Thunder Rosa of her being lineal champion while she was away and not being considered champion until her reign was over, which was unfortunate. So this is going to be considered the definitive Toni Storm run as champion, and I thought she showed a lot in this match. I thought this match killed it.
Yeah, this was a tough position I felt for the ladies, Phil, after the Jericho thing, because the Jericho thing was like, if Hook would have won the match, it would have been different. But then Jericho won, and it was like, wait, what? I was hella confused for a moment. So, like, going into the women's title match, I was like, oh, I hope this doesn't affect it. But maybe that gave these women motivation because they came out the gate just like really doing it. I thought that this was the perfect match for them to work, given the circumstances and given everything that they've been doing coming into this. I thought all the promos, Thunder attacking her and putting the makeup on her face, and then Toni responding with that insane promo was great. Toni's been doing a lot of great work of people saying those things of she can't match up the character to the in-ring work. These last couple matches that she's had have been like, well, you gotta, if you're gonna hoop, you're gonna hoop. And I am the women's champion for a reason, and I'm gonna show you guys. And I thought this match right here was like, they've been talking about Thunder Rosa for a while. They've been talking about me for a while. Let's show them why we're two of the best. And they did.
Yeah, I really like the story of Toni working the back for most of the match because, of course, Thunder Rosa was out all that time with a back injury. I like more and more all of Toni's opponents are forcing her to wrestle more of a technical style, and you see more and more of it slip out every time she has a match. She slips further and further away from that gimmick every time she has a match now. We saw it a little bit in the Diana feud. We saw it in the Zumi match, and then we saw it here. And I think that's going to play a part into her next opponent based on Dynamite as well. So I'm here for it, and I think they showed a lot in this match. I thought this match delivered. It needed to deliver as well because the other women's match was shorter, and I thought it did.
Yeah, this is super interesting, Phil. I'm thinking about that moment where was that when Toni won the belt where she did the metal in her back in her butt thing.
Yeah, against Shida.
Yeah, like ever since that match, I think there was a couple matches after that. They were like, I don't know, but then after that, like she really started to put it all together. In the last 2 months, I think she's combined how great the character is with why we love her as an in-ring character.
Yeah, I personally liked the Diana match. I don't know why people were so down on that match, but I enjoyed the Diana match.
I'm a big Diana fan, so I thought the shit hit, but people are haters.
Man, then we got what a lot of people are waiting for. What a lot of people tuned into this pay-per-view to see. What a lot of people showed up to St. Louis to watch. Will Ospreay taking on Bryan Danielson, and I'm just gonna go out and say it: the best match I have seen in person. This was incredible, start to finish, man. I mean, just from the entrances alone to the reactions from the crowd when they came out, this was a masterclass in crowd control at certain points from both wrestlers. Just a magical match from all around. Just so good.
Magic. There's moments when I'm watching wrestling at home on my TV where it's like, can I feel like I'm there in the crowd? Like, can a match take me to that level? And this match took me to that level. There's moments where I'm 12 years old watching this. Just the two legit best wrestlers. Like if I'm like 1 and 2, who are the two best? Here they are right here. Will Ospreay is on an insane, incredible run. Bryan Danielson's the greatest wrestler of our generation. All the elements here. Let's face off. For them to exceed all of our expectations, and I had high expectations, but the highest expectation you can have. For them to exceed that is like, how do you do it? This is how you do it. You have amazing counters. You have both of these guys knowing every single move that the other person does. You have some insane strikes. The hidden blades in this were just like, what? Like the anime style stare down that they had with Ospreay slowly pulling off his elbow pad and Bryan just like, I don't know what I'm watching. Like, what is this? Is like wrestling times 1,000. The counters, the os cutter knee, the psycho knee counter was like, what are you guys doing here? Like, how does this happen? I can't believe that you were there in person to experience this, Phil. What was the energy like with like the match is already amazing, but how is it being a part of the energy that's making this a match amazing?
Out of here, man. Like, I mean, the St. Louis crowd is a wrestling crowd, and I mean, they have indie wrestling scene there, and the Midwest is kind of known for its indie wrestling scene. You
They
got
like wrestling.
all of the cities around it kind of have like their indie wrestling scene, whether that be Ohio and Chicago and Indiana. So I think not just the St. Louis crowd, but the people that travel to St. Louis, they're a very indie, smarky crowd. So
Yeah.
they kept doing like trying to start the chants, trying to start like all of the, this is awesome, the, Will Ospreay chants. But I think I've never been in a crowd where some of the spots hit so hard that people just reacted like out of character. Like it was almost like watching a really good. It was like watching a really good movie and just being in a moment and just like screaming and jumping out of your seat at things like whoa, whoa, like it just. I've never been like in an arena and there for a match where I was just like literally when he hit him with that Tiger Driver, I jumped out of my seat and was like, no. Like the whole time he was hoisting them up because I knew the Tiger Driver was coming, and I was just like, "Don't do this!" And
don't do
when
this.
It landed, I was like, "Ah!"
It was one of those like you knew it was coming the whole match, and like he's lifting them up, and I'm still like, just counter, and he didn't counter.
Yeah, but man, the storytelling of this was just fantastic. I really like the story they've been telling with Brian. Brian, pretty much since the MJF match, has been in this phase of going, I am the best wrestler in the world. And so I want to prove that against every opponent. That was his whole reason for coming into the company. But I think he's seen more and more like he is older. Like we just had a conversation about LeBron and KD, and that's exactly where Brian is at this time in his career. His career is wrapping up, and you're going up against a new crop of guys outside of the WWE ecosystem that are different. You went up against a guy in Kenny Omega that is the best bout machine for a reason. You had to go up against an upstart and Hangman who had took you 2 matches and that guy still beat you. You went up against the best Japanese wrestler there is in Kazuchika Okada. Not just the best Japanese wrestler there is, face of Japanese wrestler, one of the best wrestlers in the world as well. That guy beats you on the second match. And then you go up against this guy who in every way is younger, faster, and stronger than you. And it's just like, how can I compete with this guy? Can I beat him with the grapples? Can I go with the techers? And he tried. And you can see, man, again, this is what's so fucking brilliant about this match. It's not just that all the spots hit, but just that story of every time the speed came into play, Ospreay beat him out, man. The only time he caught him is just when he was trying to be crafty. Like when he tried to go with the Os cutter on him and he hit him with that Psycho knee, which looked perfect, kicked him right out of the air with it. But that standoff when they were in each corners and he started the yes and he started slowly pulling that elbow down and he just clobbered him with that hidden blade because he's just faster than him, man. And man, just that story alone of just like, I still want to prove that I'm the best, but this guy is just more athletic. He's more fat. He's faster than me. He's stronger than me. And I just can't keep up because I'm older. That story is just so good.
Brian's thing of I can't beat him at the best that he's got, so I'm just gonna slap him really hard and trying to get him off of his game. But Ospreay is like, no, I've been in the ring with Okada, I've been in the ring with Shibata, I've been in the ring with Ishii. I've been hit the hardest I've been hit, and I'm gonna come back with you. And that elbow, that one elbow that he hit Brian with that just clobbered him was like, whoa, this is crazy right here. Yeah, I think that all the Japanese elements they kind of had, the story that they've been telling of Ospreay was saying, he's like, no, I was saying I was the best in Japan because I did all these things. I did everything that you thought you could do and you wanted to do. And then him kind of proving it in the ring. Like, I told you it was going to be like this, Brian. I told you it was going to be high octane. I told you it was going to be some crazy shit, and you didn't believe me. And Brian just being like, okay, okay, slow down a little bit. Like, let me get into this, and never being able to fully get into this. Just a brilliantly worked match, man.
Just great in-ring storytelling. of course, the ending sequence of them just going blow for blow, move for move, and then he finally put him down with that Tiger Driver, and because our goat is a sicko, he did that fucking seizure cell, and I was like, God damn it, stop doing it to us, man. But even that, the story of the seizure cell and everything was so good because in the press conference, Ospreay told that story about how he was a wrestling fan growing up, and his dad took him to see wrestling, and it wasn't the wrestling he thought it was going to be. It was like kind of pantomime wrestling, and out comes Bryan Danielson because of course Bryan Danielson is wrestling for a lot of people, and how much you could tell in that moment that he idolized Ring of Honor, how much he idolized Bryan as a wrestler. He talked about how emotional he got when he won at WrestleMania 30, how emotional he got when he retired the first time, and then getting emotional again when he came back and feeling like I have my chance, I can wrestle him now, and then getting that match on this stage, and now you look like the guy that injured Bryan Danielson. Really, really great story. And he of course said that he will no longer do the Tiger Driver. This is character growth of watching what he did to Kenny Omega with that Tiger Driver and him reveling in it and going, no, I'm just going to use this as much as possible. I'm going to hurt people. But then when he did it to a guy that he considered an idol, he was like, I can't do this anymore. So good. And I think that is going to play into the rest of the story with Bryan for the rest of this year. I think what they're doing with him is tremendous. I am really on board with it. Not just this match, but just the story they're telling and the way I feel like they're going to write Bryan off at the end of this year. Just the vision I could see with this. Really, really happy with it.
I can't believe this. I can't believe that match. I can't believe that essentially we got in his prime Will Ospreay, or still maybe not even in his prime, which is insane. Will Ospreay against just as good as he's ever been, Bryan Danielson, and they executed. The crowd was crazy. Everything hit as hard as we could imagine. I do like that story of Ospreay going to the press conference, still being a little bit distraught, telling the story of like, I had to, but I didn't want to, and I can't believe Bryan, and then getting back into it. Just we're running into this. I've been seeing all week. I can't wait to see Swerve and Ospreay at All In. Can't wait to see Ospreay at All In win the championship. And I'm like, I don't know, you guys, but like, if he continues to shine like this, and he's going to, like, they're going to run into this problem. Like, it's not like, oh, Ospreay's moment's going to be in 2 years. It's like, no, I don't think so. Like, these fans are going to force you into giving this guy his moment before that.
Yeah, man. Just can't say enough about how good that match was. I knew that it was going to get over with the fan base that was supposed to. I knew Big Dave was going to give it all the stars. What a
6.5-er.
What a great match. Man, very, very grateful to be in the building for that match. I don't think anything is going to top that for an in-person experience for me in a long time. Like, just incredible. Then we got the ladder match after that. The ladder match was kind of in the unfavorable spot of coming behind that match. But I thought the Bucks and FTR delivered. I thought that this was their best match together so far. We got everything we wanted out of the storytelling of it. We got some insane spots. I really loved it.
Listen, Phil, I was saying, if you need one match to follow Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay, who are the guys you look to? Nick and Matt Jackson, who have done it their entire career. They've built a career off of this, off of follow this or following this. And I thought, like, if you need anything to kind of give, because they sometimes have this in big wrestling events where it's like they have a bunch of main events and you want to put something in between those main events to get the crowd to be able to come down. The crowd's not going to come down off a match like this. It's a ladder match. It's the Young Bucks. It's FTR. It's all the elements. And I thought that they did a bunch of very insane stuff. That pile driver that Dax hit Matt with, and the ladder slipped off of the barricade. Just scary stuff. Nick Jackson being insane with all the flips, and that Cash dive to the outside through the table. Like, they were going for it. You know what I mean? Like,
that table spot was crazy.
Insane. This was 100 miles per hour. And of course, at the end, we got the big reveal. How did you like the Jack Perry reveal?
I thought the Jack reveal was brilliant. I thought having him come in with the Sting mask to pay off the stuff from Revolution. I thought his shit eating grin right at the camera when they ripped the mask off of him, like, yeah, it's me. I did that. I cost him the match. I loved it. I loved the tie-in of, hey, those guys are friends with CM Punk, so of course I'm gonna screw them over. I loved it. I thought bringing him back in the way they did worked really well. I thought the crowd reacted really well for Jack. I'm happy for Jack. I'm glad that this is turning into a big moment for him. I'm glad that he's turned this around after not being on TV for so long. And I hope that it continues to pay off for him, man. I think that he deserves it. He's of course an AEW day one guy. When you go back and look at all of the promotional material for AEW in that first year, he was everywhere. He was on a lot of the interviews. He was in a lot of the pictures. And so it's cool to see him still play a part in the company in a big way.
I think this is all going to be even better for him, and he's going to become a big, gigantic heel off the backs to this. Exciting stuff for, I think, him, who could have, with the footage and everything that happened, it could have went left. Like, it could have went a totally different way. And for him to kind of be able to capitalize off of it, I think is awesome. Young Bucks ended up winning the AEW World Tag Championships for the third time. Just a great way to encompass it. And I think with what's happening, specifically like a team like the Grizzled Young Vets being introduced, Motor City Machine Guns are somewhere out there in the world. Like, this run is going to be the one for them, I feel.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Again, I think this was their best match with FDR. I think they showed a lot of chemistry in this match. We got the unfortunate news that Dax had a concussion after this match. Hopefully that he's doing well. He just put an update on Twitter, I believe, yesterday, where he's saying he's fine. And thanks for all of the well wishes. But yeah, this was tremendous match. Then we got the main event. This could have easily been in an unenviable situation, but I just think the moment felt big from the second I got there. I mean, when I was walking up and I was standing around outside the arena, you can hear the Who's House chants outside while people were in line. You could just feel the energy coming in, that it felt like it was his moment. And so to just see what we got, him coming out in the Killmonger outfit, which I cannot say if he did this intentional, but just based off of the internet stuff, he did a very, very funny thing here, man. And I saw people trying to say, well, Melo's already done the Killmonger look. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? If I can get into my win horse, why did he do that? WWE at one point had all the black wrestlers over there at NXT and on their show, and what were they calling it online? What was the joke people were making? It's Wakanda. This guy did this thing where he went away and he was like, man, that's your king? No. I'm the king. I am number one. I am numero uno. I don't know if he did that on purpose, but if you read between the lines, buddy. Very interesting. And if I had the wherewithal to think about it in that moment, I probably should have asked him afterwards to see if that was intentional. But that was a joke online for a long time, that people were calling that place Wakanda. And of course, this guy is the guy that shows up, burns everything down, burns those flowers, burn them hard drives, buddy.
He is on top 5. That's true.
But yeah, coming out there in the Killmonger gear, coming out there in his own shoes, which he talked about later, and then Nana coming out and putting the robe on him. Shout out to Jimmy Rave. Just a great entrance. Just the aura of this guy coming down. The Who's House chants in there was deafening, bro. It was his moment, man. From then on, man. The match itself was good, but nothing about the match can undersell just how good of a moment this was for him. He felt like every bit the star that he should have. Yeah, just really cool to be in the building for it, man. Just to see how well he's received from that crowd, to see that guy leave WWE and bet on himself. Could have easily probably waited around and took that call and went back, bet on himself, and did something different, man.
They try to get him, remember?
Really, really happy for him. Really happy to be in the building to experience it. Really happy, like you said, that he had that moment with somebody like Samoa Joe, who is one of ones, all timer. I thought the match itself was really, really good as well. Man, just super exciting time.
Yeah, I think just like you said, from the entrance and how it just felt huge, Nana coming out, and it just felt like a big moment. And the whole thing felt like a big moment. And to execute it and the emotion that he had before he hit the swerve stomp at the end on the top rope and all that is just like, what a great moment. And then the way that he was in the presser with all of y'all and kind of, talking about the importance of all this. And because it is important to put it into perspective, because a lot of people don't really understand why we are so excited about this thing, Phil. Because I was saying, like, the Kofi thing wasn't that long ago. Like Big E, Bobby Lashley, like we've had some Black World Champions recently, but that was after a gazillion years. And so it might seem new and fresh to a lot of people out there. Like, why are they celebrating this? This happens all the time, but it's still the rarest thing in the world. And for AEW to be a 5-year-old company and to be where they are and to have their first Black champion, it's huge, you guys. Like, not because of the connections we have, not because of anything like that. Just like as a Black wrestling fan that's been watching this shit for 30 plus years, a Black world champion that does look like me, that does act like me, that is everything that I encompass on TV is different.
Yeah. I believe there's been 8, right? 9 AEW World Champions. The first Black man that held that belt out of those guys. Really excited to see that it was him that went there and did that.
Felt right being him.
It felt right. It did. It just like the match hit. Just following everything he did last year, Continental Classic, feud with Hangman. It just felt like a big moment, man. It just felt like a big moment, not just for him. Just he at one point said that this was a big moment for us, and I felt that being there. And that might not have just been just the crowd, but just like at one point I looked around like, man, homie Rich was ringside, and like seeing Rich afterwards, I mean, I think I said on this podcast before, the first ever conversation that me and Will had in depth. We did the post show for Revolution, and we sat and we were talking for a while afterwards. And at one point I was like, man, what are they doing with Swerve over there, man? I am a big Swerve fan. And he was like, he's my cousin, right? And I was like, what? What are we talking about? And so, we got into this whole conversation about Swerve out of that. And if you would have told me from that day on that would turn into this trajectory for him and this trajectory for us as a podcast, I would have never guessed any of that. Just the follow of, us having that conversation, and at one point in that conversation, me saying, man, my guy Reg, we talk all the time and DMs, and then that turning into us, the three of us having a group chat, the three of us starting a podcast, our podcast doing what it did. One of the first big interviews we had was Swerve. That was before he signed with the company, having the interview after he signed with the company as tag team champion, and just everything that's come of that. And sitting in a press conference, and he's like sitting there with the belt, and I'm looking across the room, and Will is sitting over there with like the AEW All Access thing on. I was just like, where the fuck are we? How did we get here, bro? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, this is like, man, it's so like, man. And I told Will this afterwards. I was like, how did we get here? None of this, like, this all just feels very surreal,
doesn't make
man.
sense,
And I just like, even afterwards, like, I met Will afterwards and we were talking, and I was just like, man, this guy's champion. He did it, man. Like, he did it. And you're over there making that place a better company, in my opinion. It's
It's just
wild, man.
I'd never. There's so many moments that happen in my life that I'm like, I never thought I would end up in this position, but like to be I've told people many times, like essentially the Black Wrestling's 500 started because I wanted to cover 5 black wrestlers, and one of those black wrestlers was Swerve Strickland, and I knew the first time I ever saw this guy that he was special. I remember seeing him, and it was a New York WrestleMania. He had like the CZW used to do this dumb match where they had a big box in the corner. It's like aerial assault or something. He's in one of those matches, and I was like, yeah, this guy's awesome. And then the MLW stuff and Lucha Underground and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, this guy's like way different than anybody else. No, what really got me was initially when he became CZW World Champion. And I think he did Cage of Death or something. And there was a picture of his back, and it was disgusting. You remember that picture? It was nasty as hell. I was like, what does this guy do? I was like, black people don't do death matches.
Was that from the CZW match, or was that from the Lucha Underground match? I don't remember.
I think it was from the CZW match, because I remember him winning. I think he like had the belt or something on it. But yeah, I remember seeing that and being like, this guy
disgusting.
Is on some other shit. Like, why is this black man doing deathmatch wrestling? And then all that to connect to, we're on this podcast with this guy, and this guy, that's his cousin, and Will now works there and helped, and part of it's just like, I don't understand why any of this happens or how it happens, but sometimes, you know, magic just happens in the world, and things are put together, and serendipity and things match up, and the world is cool. And I'm so happy for Swerve. Well deserved, legit, the best black wrestler in the world.
Yeah, really, really, really happy for him. He deserves it. Just watching him make that transformation, making the transformation, bulking up.
Big guy.
Bulking up, making the transformation as a character, getting better as a promo guy. We talked about earlier, turning into a media guy, doing all the interviews, and just seeing his mind for wrestling as well. Having the idea to work with somebody in Mosh, and Mosh has worked with pro football players, rappers, basketball players, linking up with him and having the idea to do his own wrestling shoe and have that as the rollout with the championship win. That just shows you like where his mind is and how he thinks bigger than just in that moment. And I just think that's the coolest thing, not just about him winning, but just how much the company has gotten behind him. It doesn't feel like this is just like, all right, this is a moment, let's put the belt on him to do something for now, to say we've done it, made the first black champion. But like, man, when you look at all the commercials for Dynamite, he was already in the commercials before that. When you look at all the media stuff heading into this year, he was already doing that. And so it kind of feels like Tony really believes in this guy, and I think that's a good sign as well. Because I've seen how people have talked about the title run already, and we'll get into that more when we get into Dynamite, and how people are like, oh, well, it's already an afterthought. I'm like, yeah, but I think I would be more worried if it didn't seem like the company was fully invested in him. It does feel like AEW is invested in him as a person. And buddy, I'm sorry if you thought you were going to come on this podcast. I don't know why you would think this. If you've listened to this podcast and you know the two of us, you've watched my timeline for the past whatever week. If you thought I was going to come on here and be negative about this guy winning, if you thought you were going to come on here and get certain things that other podcasters are doing, no, you're not getting that. All right, guys, AEW World Champion. Listen, if there was no other time to hit the flex mods, bro, our champion is black. AEW World Champion Swerve, bro. We are in the building, buddy. I'm sorry. I seen some of this stuff on Twitter. I seen y'all trying to be negative. I seen the hate. Fuck out of here. All right, guys, AEW World Champion, bro.
Motherfucking first black AEW World Champion, and there's not a fucking thing you can do about it, baby. We out here.
Listen, man, super duper excited for this guy. Man, could not be more happy for him. Like I said, saw him afterwards, man. Seemed like he was more happy than I've seen him ever. We outside, buddy. Sorry, man. If you're not happy about this, don't know what to tell you, buddy, because we are, man. Celebrations over here, bro.
Did you, right after Chris Jericho gave his speech, he handed the mic to you?
I don't know what speech you're talking about.
You know what speech?
I don't know what speech you're talking about, bro.
What you mean? You know what speech I'm talking about? Jericho was at the after party. He was like, "Swerve, great job." He handed the mic to you, didn't he?
No.
No. Okay. I was just asking. I was wondering. I wasn't there, so I don't know.
God. Oh man. But yeah, no, we're in the building. I'm sorry, man. I just we outside, man. What a great pay-per-view. What a great night, St. Louis. I was in and out. I got there Sunday afternoon.
Phil,
Man.
you saw Cody win the world championship, Mox win the world championship, and Swerve win the world championship 3 weeks back to back. I'm mad at you.
And Mark Briscoe. Mark
Briscoe.
Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, man.
God, I hate
April.
you.
April's been quite a month for me. Boy, it's been outside. It's been a lot of miles traveled, a lot of money spent, but well worth it.
You're a lot more chipper than I expected you to be after such a busy ass April. Like you still seem pretty up though.
No, my guy's champion, man. We gotta be up, man. Cause, but yeah, no, I just made it into St. Louis that day. Went to Emo's Pizza because people were like, "Man, you got to get some real pizza, buddy." Let me tell you, y'all. I'm spoiled, man. I'm spoiled, man. I'm from a city that's known for great pizza, and so it was cool, but it ain't like home, man. Like I'm sorry, man. Like it's too many great. It's too many great options for pizza in Chicago, man. Like there's too many great options for thin crust. There's too many great options if you want deep dish, man. Our pizza's just better, man. Like it was cool. Emo's was cool. It was cool to get the experience. I saw somebody saying that I should try another pizza joint there. I was walking down the street after I left Emo's, and I was like, man, I made a mistake. So I walked past this barbecue restaurant, and they had like the big smoker. They had the big smoker outside, and they had like all the wood stacked up to it. I was standing there smelling, and I was like, I should have got barbecue, man.
Man, you really screwed this up. Yeah, getting pizza out of Chicago is like I feel when people offer me tacos out of California. I'm like, your tacos ain't gonna hit like the ones at home. I don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, but I did the whole Emo's experience, but man, Chicago does pizza different, man. I know y'all always want to knock us out the box with, oh, y'all pizza ain't real pizza, but
nah, that pizza that we had, where was that place that you took me to? The non-deep dish pizza. That pizza hit hard, really hard.
Aurelio's.
Yeah, that was like that's all that pizza.
Emo's was similar to Aurelio's, but even Aurelio's is better, bro. Sorry.
Even if it was, you wouldn't say that it was.
No, I just truth be told, there's just too many great places to get pizza here, man. Like
totally.
Yeah.
Chicago pizza, that's a thing. Like those words go together.
Yeah. But yeah, AEW Dynasty is in the books. We got a pretty eventful Dynamite, to say the least, afterwards.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because we came on this podcast many times and talked about the post pay-per-view Dynamites, and there's always something off about them. And I don't know if it's like they get so entangled in putting the pay-per-view together that they forget about I don't know what happens, but like this didn't feel like this. This felt like everything was a conscious effort made to have a great post show, and they ended it in a certain type of way.
Yeah, I think starting it with the Trent and Orange Cassidy stuff was an interesting choice. I probably would have started with Swerve, but
okay, that's where you stand on that stance.
But I thought that getting right into the story stuff and building from there with Trent Orange Cassidy wasn't a bad idea. For me, I would have liked to open with Swerve House. I think that even if it was just the same match and everything, I think that I would have started with that. That's of course to build up to the Rampage match because we're getting Trent versus Chuck in the parking lot match. Chuck is not cleared to wrestle, so I'm curious to see how this is gonna go, how they're gonna work this match. And I mean, maybe that's the kayfabe, he's not cleared to wrestle. Then they're doing the unsanctioned style match, but Yeah, I'm interested in that match because if you know those two guys and their history with parking lot matches, those things usually hit. So very excited to see that tonight. We're getting 3 hours of AEW wrestling
I'm
tonight.
very excited about that. Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about this Swerve thing because I've been seeing discourse all fucking week on people being like, well, why did he do a promo? Why did he blah, blah, blah? And it's like, I guess historically, if a champion wins the first show after that, they usually start the show. Like historically, that's kind of is how it's been. So I can understand in that sense. And yeah, I guess I'm on your side. So I'm like, why would they put that Orange Cassidy thing first? Like that wasn't so hot that
Yeah,
it needed to go first. Like
yeah,
it should be in the show. I just don't understand why it was first. But I do know Orange Cassidy is like a ratings thing. Like he represents for something. It's not for nothing.
yeah. I understand that. We got the Swerve match next. We got the introduction from Nana, which I thought was cool. Then we got the match with Kyle Fletcher. I thought the match was good. I think it's a risky choice to come in and go straight to a match with Swerve. A lot of people seem to not like the fact that he didn't cut a promo. I like that he went straight back to wrestling because he's a babyface, and we haven't had like a straight up babyface champion in a long time. I know some people will say Max was babyface by the end, but Max was still working the same schedule where it was just like, all right, well, I wrestle when I have to. That was kind of the thing with him. So I like the idea that we're immediately getting a champion that is going to wrestle weekly, and not just wrestle weekly as we've already seen. He's going to be on both Dynamite and Collision straight away as champion. We don't usually see that, and so I think that's good. I think that some of the Twitter stuff was weird for me because for a good 2 weeks we've seen people going, all right, what is Cody gonna do with this belt? He comes out and he talks every week. Like, when is he gonna wrestle? You get a guy that comes out and wrestles right a week. Why isn't he talking? It's like, wait, what do you mean? Like, what do you
You can't
guys
have
want?
both. You
What do
can't
you
have
guys
both.
want? Like, and I mean, I get it. I think there was a sweet spot. I think I told you on Ask Grapsody, if it were me, I think they should have done the match, and then right after match, Swerve should have picked up a microphone and said, listen, work's not done. I'm champion, but the grind don't stop here. I'm still going to be a workhorse with this belt. I'm still going to show up on both shows. I'm still going to wrestle because that's what I'm here to do, to show people that I am the best in this ring. End. You didn't have to cut this long promo. That could have been it. And that could have been a good lead in to what we're getting on Collision tonight. He, of course, is going to cut the promo, which is
Yeah,
going to be
I was going to ask how you feel about that because I think their mind state is we got that basketball lead in, which is a way bigger lead in than they had on Wednesday. And Swerve will be the first thing that you see off of that, which, like you said on Ask Grapsody, all black people like basketball. So they'll be tuning in and watching for the immediately seeing Swerve first off after a basketball thing is a big move, you know?
Yes, I think that that's great as well. I think that you're going to get a lot of the audience coming in from playoffs, and I think that that's a good way to get some new eyes on AEW. I think that's a good way to introduce Swerve to another audience as champion. So I think it's a big opportunity for him.
I
I
just thought
just
about how funny Tony Khan is. I'm like, he's getting the basketball lead in, and then yesterday, for the last 2 days, he was doing the NFL thing. Like his name was on NFL and NBA for the
yeah.
last couple days. I'm like, that's really funny. We're getting to that.
Yeah. But yeah, I wasn't as bothered by him not cutting a promo, especially now that we know he's going to get the lead in from the playoff game tonight. So I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I felt like all the stuff we got building up the match or coming into the moment, like he was doing a promo almost every week for the last 6 weeks. It's like for him to come out and be like, I don't, you know me, I don't need the fucking words. Come out and wrestle, dude. That's all. I don't need you to be like, I already saw you. You have the moment. You have everything. What are you gonna do as champion? Everybody comes out and say, this is what I'm gonna do as champion. He's showing what he's gonna do as champion.
Yeah. I get it. I get we all kind of have PTSD with black champions of,
We do.
all right, well, the second they are treated as less than any other champions, we're immediately raising an eyebrow, because I saw a lot of people saying, well, they've never done this with any other champion. Usually the champion comes out and addresses the crowd, and for them to not do that straight away on Dynamite is a bad sign. But of course, I think that's before we knew he was going to get the promo on Collision. But I just think that's what it is with black champions because there are so few of them, and a lot of black champions are booked poorly that the second we see a sign, it's like, oh no, I knew it. It's just like, well, just wait a minute, guys. It hasn't been a whole week yet. Just calm down.
That's fair. I understand the PTSD, but people have to remember this is very different. Most of the time, not most of the time, all of the times we've previously had black champions, there hasn't been much build up to them becoming champion. Like Kofi lucked into it. Like he lucked into his thing. Like if Ali was there, he might not even have happened, but he like lucked into it. And the build up was what it was. Big E had that briefcase, but they booked him like shit on the way up to winning the championship. Lashley's the only one that's been booked strongly, but for the most part, when a black champion wins, it's like some surprise or shocked, and they weren't booked good before they became champion. Swerve has been booked great to becoming champion. So it's not like a big shock, like they're going to do something totally different as he becomes champion. No, they're going to continue doing what they did to build him up. That's why it's like, it's different than like a Flash. He became champion out of nowhere. What do we do with them now? No, they've been building this story for a while, which means they have more stories on the back end.
Yeah. I mean, and how often can we say things like, all right, well, they've booked him. It looks like the company is invested. You've got somebody that's black and creative working on the title push and the title run. Then you also, I mean, just everything about it. Like I would have room to say, all right, we can give them some grace with this. Because I mean,
exactly.
Even just giving them the moment, having Stefan out there and having Stefan hand him the belt and everything, like I think we can hold off before we're like, oh, he's already an afterthought. Like I think we can calm down on that. Like just like I think that he got. It felt like for me, they gave him the match because you didn't want to have a whole bunch of talking on this episode. And I said this on Twitter, but I feel like you had to strike the right balance because, man, I was at that Raw after Mania, man, and it was a lot of talking on that show. 3 hours, man, and it wasn't that much wrestling. And I think if you're going to go back to Jacksonville, and that's a hub for AEW, you want to put on a good show for that crowd. And so I think that was important to AEW. I don't think they just wanted to come out there and go, all right, here's one celebration segment, and then we're going to do another celebration segment, then we're going to do a Jericho segment, and then we're going to end the show with another talking segment. And so I think they wanted to strike the right balance, and having a champion come straight out and wrestle, I think that's why they did it the way they did it. So I understand it. I can also understand some of the criticism, but it wasn't the end of the world for me. I don't understand why people got so upset.
And that's my preferred method. Of course, like I said earlier, I don't care about talking. Dude, you talked a billion. Like, show me what you're going to do as champion. Give me the graps. Give me the thing. I understand. Like, I like with the concept that you had if we did the match and then he just gets 30 seconds to be like, I'm not going to be out here talking. I'm going to be doing this shit. I'm going to see y'all next time. You know what I mean? But I think
that's how I would have did it.
I think that's what's going to happen on Collision tonight. So I think it's all going to work out. I like the presentation and everything has been great, though. This is not even close to being the end of the world, and people have definitely been overreacting. But, I'm not surprised. It's the internet.
Yeah. I didn't even, because I was so excited and talking about him winning and everything. I don't know if we talked about like the stuff with his gear and not just having the Killmonger gear, but having did you notice he had the little target on his knee pad, which is a nod to Kill Shot? I was like, I can do that. I thought that was dope.
The gear was crazy.
But yeah, the first hour of Dynamite this week, it felt like they let the women shine a lot, which I thought was good as well. You got the setup for Mina and Tony. I think they're starting to set up the Forbidden Door match with them. I really like that Mariah was out there cheerleading Mina, and the second Anna put hands on Mariah, Tony came out there and was like, oh no, and she's like holding her like cradle alert. What have you done? Leave her alone.
She came stumbling out with like stuff falling out, like she was caught off guard.
She jumped all out of her shoes, ran out there barefoot, like, what have you done? Leave her alone. I thought that was great. And then immediately set up the feud with Serena D right afterwards. I think that's a great opponent for Tony. Tony being somebody that the focus is the character and the gimmick, and you're going to get somebody who only wants to focus on the wrestling. That has been her whole thing coming back. Like, I want to take the division back and focus on the wrestling. So of course she would have an issue with this person parading around with the belt that isn't focusing on that.
Yeah, I'm liking the stories that they've told with the last 3 or 4 Tony Storm opponents of that woman having the streak, but then coming out and making the declaration of like, Tony Storm, I'm coming for your ass. Like, whenever I get the opportunity, I'm going to make it. And Serena Deeb has been telling the story for the last couple weeks of like, you guys are about shenanigans. Everybody's making jokes and all this, but I'm real. I'm out here doing these graps and I'm gonna fuck you up. Unfortunate that AEW was having those audio issues at the end of the show, because I don't know what Serena Deeb said. Looked like she was cooking in her little promo sitting on the stage. I'm like, I like what I'm seeing, but I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah. I think if nothing else, if you were upset about like the handling of Black champions, I thought the Willow segment was excellent. Yes. I thought the way they gave her her moment, had the full circle moment of her being in Jacksonville as champion, same place where she was announced as All Elite and she got her graphic.
So crazy.
And so I think just the way they set that up and had her come out and seemingly getting ready to have her big moment, and Mercedes interrupted her again. They had the stare down and they had the confrontation. I thought the back and forth was very good. Willow got some great one-liners in. I like the seeds they planted as well. Stat was the one that pulled Mercedes back, and Mercedes turned around and slapped Willow clean. Really, really good. I think the way that they've continue to build up this match and make it feel like a big deal is good. Yep. Again, I know you can gripe on stuff like the Swerve stuff, but I think one of the biggest successes from Dynamite is just how big they've made this match feel, especially for Mercedes' first match with the company.
Yeah, it's a really good sign for their positioning on the card, I think, in Vegas over there. Mercedes getting a big moment in almost every Dynamite is great for the women's division. Willow being attached to that is great for the women's division. And I think it's bled on to the rest of the women's division. Like you said, like most of the first hour was dedicated to the great work that they've been doing.
Yeah. So yeah, very excited to see where they go with Willow and Mercedes. I still believe that Mercedes is capping. I still believe that she's on her Jussie Smollett. I don't think that anybody attacked her backstage. I think that she is using this all to create distrust in Willow. And you can see it in this segment where she was trying to basically paint the picture that she injured her on purpose. So yeah, I like where they're going. Really excited to see more of this. I thought most of the matches we got for this show were good. I still what did you think of this Jericho segment? Because if anything could have got cut for time, I think it was this.
I'm on the fence. I'm at a crossroads because
not bo.
Let me tell you why. This my Uncle Charles, y'all. I think Big Bill with Jericho works.
I think he's a good heater for Jericho.
Yes, that part I do like. Could we have done this in 2 minutes instead of 500 hours like Jericho likes to take? Totally. Like this is what, like, we didn't need all of this. Like, I knew what was coming. Just get to it. You know what I mean? That's what I always feel with Jericho segments. It's like, we know what you're getting at, dude. Just get to it. And he never just gets to it.
What do you think of his new theme music that feels very clearly like a jab at Def Rebel? He has the thing where he says his catchphrase at the beginning and then it jumps into some very generic sounding rock music.
I think that Chris Jericho's new character of being very online and very aware is it's shining in every single aspect of his presentation now.
Yeah, I think all of this is like very on the nose, but being Jericho in the way that he reinvents himself and the way that he can play off these things, he'll figure out a way to make it work. And so I think just doing
I don't hate it. It's just all too long. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, is that it feels like it's too long. I feel like you've also not addressed that a big part of your fan base has been like, I don't want to see this guy.
We still have not addressed that. Yeah, you're right.
And so I think that's part of it. And I mean, I think turning him heel and like playing into the vortex stuff, playing into the learning tree stuff can work out for them, but it's going to be a slog to get there, man.
We're gonna have to put up with 14-minute promo segments that like go nowhere.
And just seeing him out there doing all this stuff as FTW champion, I'm just like, all right.
What?
I still don't know why he needed that belt, but
What? I'm trying to figure out why. Like, to put prestige on the belt? No, that doesn't really make sense. Like, why is Chris Jericho the one? Like, this could have been a big moment for some young up and comer. Why is Chris Jericho the one representing with the belt? It just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was again the thing this week that I was like, you could have cut some time off of that, but
I feel like we say that almost every week with Chris Jericho.
But the match itself, the matches itself and Dynamite as a whole, I enjoyed Dynamite.
Gauntlet match was fire.
Gauntlet match was great. I thought the way that they booked the gauntlet match with the surprise of Ospreay coming out and having his first big showing in Jacksonville, cementing himself as an AEW guy, I thought that was cool. Having the first interaction with him and Jay White in there, I thought that was a great touch.
That little, we used to be in the same place, huh?
Yeah, I know this guy. Yeah, I thought that was good. I thought the standoff with Kyle O'Reilly and that stuff was really good. Still selling that he doesn't want to do the Tiger Driver in this match. He hesitated, almost lost the match, but he won. So he will be Roderick Strong's opponent for Double or Nothing for the International Championship.
Taking Roderick Strong's International Championship at AEW Double or Nothing. The writing is very on the wall. Now, I thought this match was awesome. The people that they're featured, the kind of surprise element, doing it in Jacksonville and not advertising Ospreay and him coming out and everyone being legit blown away and excited about it. And then the interactions that he had, like you said, but specifically the Kyle O'Reilly shit was like, when's the 101? You guys go ahead and sign that up because that's going to be fire. I think coming off of Ospreay winning this championship, that could happen. But really cool concept coming into the Double or Nothing and the casino and all that. The little extra thing that they have with the show is always dope. I'm excited for that match though. Like, Roderick Strong is a sleeper, man. Like, he gets caught in all the shenanigans, but him and Will Ospreay are gonna go insane.
Yeah, I think this makes sense. I know a lot of people are going to immediately raise an eyebrow at the fact that he's in an international title picture, and this seemingly takes him out of the running to be in the world title picture like a lot of fans wanted him to. But I think it makes sense. I think it does for now. I think this is AEW telling people like, hey, man, we hear you. No, he's going to be over here challenging for this belt. I think that this was the clear sign of that he's going to be international champion, and I think he's going to have a decent run with that. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he is still international champion by Wembley. I think that's the way to go with this. Now, sure, of course, that's probably going to make some people unhappy, but
like I said all week, I've been seeing people be like, Ospreay needs to be the one to wrestle Swerve at Wembley, and I'm like, good luck, you guys.
Yeah, that's gonna make people unhappy, but I understand why. You don't immediately want to make Ospreay this looming thing over Swerve's reign. You want to let his reign have some room to breathe, and it's not like constantly like, all right, well, he's just holding it until you're ready to put the belt on Ospreay. So I think that that's good. I also think that with Ospreay's schedule and the fact that he still lives in the UK, it makes sense for him to be international champion.
It does.
And so, I know some people are going to be unhappy with that decision, but I get it.
If this leads to what you're saying, Ospreay continues being the champion until Wembley, and then he wrestles Pac at Wembley, I think we'll all be fine at the end.
See it, man. Pac is, of course, the first man to hold that belt. He's the inaugural international champion. It was not called the International Championship when he won it. It was the Atlantic Championship, right?
All Atlantic,
Atlantic Championship when he won it. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it, and I think Ospreay getting this moment, getting the big win here, setting up the big pay-per-view match at Double or Nothing. I thought that this was a good follow-up to the pay-per-view. Now, again, I'm sure people will be like, but he beat Bryan Danielson. Shouldn't that be the thing to set him up to be in a world title picture? He beat one of the best wrestlers in the world. Yeah, I hear you, but I it's not like they haven't shown you this trajectory with other wrestlers. Because, I mean, they brought Okada in and put him straight in the title picture for a tertiary belt as well. So it's not like this is out of this is out of like the usual way that they book their wrestlers.
And they've made a habit of really building up their world champions. Like no one ever just like comes in and gets the opportunity. Like Swerve debuted 2 years ago. Like they've been setting this up for a while. Like nobody ever just has the moment of like I thought Bryan was going to come in and beat Hangman, and not at all. Like that's not what they were doing, because they had already built up their champions. They just work with how they're booked their champions different way.
They don't really bring in a big free agent and have them win the belt in the first year. We rarely see that. So, well, and I mean, not even rarely. We've never seen it with AEW. So,
but what if this is the time that they change it up? Is I'm sure what the argument is. Because I mean, if anybody to do it, it's fucking Will Ospreay. You know?
I mean, it makes sense to change things and do it with him. But I just think with Swerve's current trajectory and the other storylines and stuff you're building, I can understand saying let's wait on Ospreay.
Because I'm like, every time I talk about this, I'm like, I know this fool doesn't want it at all, but I'm like, Bryan has to have that. At least like he has to have a program for the championship at least before he retires, right? You know?
Yes.
So, I don't know. It's about to get complicated up there.
Autistic Weirdo says, Tony Stormfield, I am, of course, talking about the main world title people. Like nobody has come straight in and won the main championship.
Oh yeah. Now we're talking about
the main world champion, bro. Like we're talking about representing the company, like immediately coming in the door. Nobody has done that yet.
Right. Some women, I guess, but yeah, that's different.
Yeah, it's just a bit different. I mean, I don't know, but it is what it is. Of course, the biggest talking point from Dynamite is the closing
People have been
segment.
waiting all day, probably like, are these guys ever going to talk about this?
The closing segment. I did not know what to make of this closing segment coming into it. They built this thing up from the beginning of the episode of the car showing up and the Elite coming out. Jack getting out of his own separate car, and then the security guards coming up like, whoa, Jack, you can't come in there. And then the Bucks are like, nah, he's with us. And somebody, I think it was AO that put out the clip of them walking up with the Evolution music on it. Hilarious. They also did the backstage segment where they all walked in Tony's office, and Jack did that face where he walked in. That was funny. Them all coming out, and Marv did his usual stick of trying to get a mic in everybody's face at the weirdest times. Like, hey, what happened in there? Are you reinstated? And everybody that walked past him just like pat him on the back the exact same way.
He always does those interviews where he thinks he's going to get some information and you know he's not going to get it. But I respect the hustle, though.
Yeah, they all walked past him and patted him on the back. I believe it was Matt that actually gave him a comment and said that, no, we're going to meet him in the ring and he's going to address Jack there. Let's set up our main event segment. After, of course, your guy, Will Hobbs, took on Jon Moxley for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship.
Still haven't been updated by anybody. Nobody will get back to me.
Yeah, great opportunity for him real quick. Was glad to see him get that moment. Seems like he got injured in that match. That's the report going around. We haven't seen any updates yet. Hopefully he's doing all right.
I have none. No one will respond to me at all about it. So I don't know, you guys. I hope that my brother is okay. I was very unfortunate what happened in that match because I thought it was fun up until that point. And I hope that he recovers all right.
Yeah, hopefully he's doing well. But yeah, after that, we got the main event segment. Jack came out and he basically did the usual heel thing. He baby faced it up and was like, man, I've been with this company since day one. I've had some amazing moments here in Jacksonville. And then Tony came out and he was like, I just want to get back to doing what we do best. And I want to change the world. He gave him the handshake and did the whole hands up thing. He rose his hand. Jack is reinstated. He is officially back in AEW. Don't let him tearing up that contract fool you. He is still a contracted AEW wrestler. And then we got Tony Khan taking a punch to the gut and just kind of collapsing and doing this back bump that looked hilarious. It just, I mean, the way he sold this punch was hilarious.
I'm
man.
dead.
The way he sold this punch like death was really, really funny.
Mm-hmm. Like, because usually when you take a gut punch, you go forward, but he went backwards with it. I know.
Yeah, that led to the Elite coming out and acting like they were like, "What are you doing?" Like they were all confused by it. They were pretending to be confused. Then they both lifted his arms, and it looked like they were gonna give him the BTE trigger. And they faked this out. And we're like, "Oh no, they're just helping him up," and they were not helping him up. Proceeded to give.
They were helping him up.
They proceeded to give him a Tony Khan driver. No Pat McAfee. It's no longer called a Meltzer driver. It's a Tony Khan driver. And to the glee of Kazuchika Okada, who was in the background, giving them the old Scott Hall. Really, really funny stuff. Okada's facial expressions and everything he does in the background continues to be one of the funniest things in the world to me. His fake look of concern after Jack punched him and like they were trying to help him up, and then the way he completely flipped on Tony. You just got there, man. You ain't been working there a whole year, and you're already like, fuck Tony Khan. What is this?
His homies say fuck Tony Khan is fuck Tony Khan. That's what the game is. It's big cooch.
Yeah. Wait a minute. You just call this guy Big Cooch?
Big cooch. When it came out of my list, I was like, I hope Phil's gonna move on. But then he started laughing extra hard. I'm like, he's not gonna move on. Big cooch.
Big Cooch is crazy.
Big cooch. Yeah, I'm like Phil's not gonna move on, and he didn't move on. Whatever.
But yeah, this was a very risky segment, but I thought it worked. I thought it worked really well. I thought that this was a great way to get some heat on Jack coming back because a good amount of fans want to cheer him, especially after you made him seem like he was right in his assessment that he was a scapegoat and all of this stuff with CM Punk. Whether you agree with the decision to air the footage or not, I feel like the execution from then on and what they've done with Jack has worked really well. Just paying off of his reaction at Windy City Riot, giving him the big return at Dynasty, and then bringing him back to Dynamite in a big way, putting him in a main event angle, a main story angle. I think it's worked really well for him.
Yeah, I mean, if people can feel how they feel about why or how or should they have released this footage, but Jack Perry has benefited a lot off of this, and I thought that this angle, very silly, of course.
Yes,
but it's pro wrestling. What do you guys expect? Like,
listen, man,
come on.
I did an article for Bleacher Report about it, and I was like, this is a historic thing that we do in wrestling. Well, not we, but wrestlers do. We've seen so many people attack authority figures. Like that was the thing with Hall and Nash. They put Bischoff through the table with that Great American Bash. Of course, your boy Bully Ray putting Dixie through that table. Stone Cold made a whole career off of it. There's so many people that have attacked authority figures. This is wrestling. Like this is about the most wrestling thing you could do. So I thought it was great. I thought it was a great way to end the episode of Dynamite. It got people talking. It led to Big Shahid coming out from backstage. The best reaction of all of this is Carly reacting to Shad behind him like, whoa, big dog. Like really, really great. Carly is incredible. Get this guy on TV as much as possible, man. Just great character, man. But yeah, we got that. We got that turned into it being covered on all these big outlets. And then that led into the NFL draft where a lot of people were on the clock, so to speak, waiting to see if he was going to show up in his neck brace, and he acquiesced. He was in the war room with his neck brace. Very funny stuff, very pro wrestling. I love the fact that the timeline was more excited about seeing him in that room with the neck brace than anything else, and that just shows that we're all like sicko wrestling fans, and we love this stuff. I thought it was very, very funny. I thought the narration over it of the guy explaining why he was in a neck brace was really funny as well.
Tony Khan took a Tony Khan driver. I'm like, what is going on here?
Took a pile driver on national television. Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
And Tony's little shit-eating grin, the picture of him like sipping the coffee where he looks like the proud mom on Christmas kills me.
So funny. His dad behind him, like, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what my son's doing. He's doing this wrestling thing, I guess. Maybe he'll get it out of his system one day.
Yeah, billions of dollars are on the line. We're talking football, but my son's having fun. What do you guys want from me?
Yeah, man. I thought all of that was great. I thought the coverage that this has gotten has been good for wrestling. It's been good for AEW.
Totally.
I think it's cool. I think along with the Rock stuff and how it feels like pro wrestling is more present in mainstream stuff now. This feels the same. And I know some people are going to be like, I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. He's making himself into an on-screen character. I thought it was fun. I don't know.
I thought it was a bunch of shenanigans, a bunch of just over-the-top pro wrestling shit. Him in the neck brace reminded me of Andy Kaufman back in the day when he was selling his little injury, just going on doing bits. Tony being interviewed and at these different points throughout the draft and selling it, but being able to be like, yeah, and then you can watch this on Wednesday. It happened on Dynamite, or you can watch it tonight on Collision. I'm like, well, this is what it's all
Promotion.
about, guys. Yeah, it's promotion. Like, you can feel how you want to feel about the angle or whatever, but for him to get a big angle over on the NFL draft, which millions of people are watching, is like, yo, you can't pay for that shit.
Yeah, I think that made all of this much better. And I mean, man, say what you will, I think that they've capitalized very well off of Jack's New Japan run and the stuff following that. I don't think that you can make a big argument. Yeah, you can make an argument of, all right, what did the footage really do for the company in terms of ratings and like drawing and money and all of these other things, but I think there is no real argument to be made about how much Jack has benefited out of all of this.
They've made a new superstar, and his name is Jack Perry. Now, I kind of feel like coming off the backs of all of this, that they're looking for a new opponent for Swerve for Double or Nothing. I'm like, yo, Jack Perry is pretty high up there. I don't know.
I do think that this could lead to Jack challenging for the AEW World Championship. I don't know if that'll be a Double or Nothing, but it feels like that's where this is going.
Could be too soon. I'm right. I'm like, let's get to it. Jack Perry, he's hot right now, but I think it's going to continue to build.
Yeah, but I mean, I think all the story stuff, because I think people are reading this absolutely wrong. When people are like, he's making himself into an on-screen character, I actually think it's doing the opposite. I think the point of this is to take him off television so that the Bucks become on-screen authority figures. And I think they're going to use this as an opportunity to bypass the ranking system and make their guy the challenger for the AEW World Championship.
Smart.
And so I think all of that stuff is going to work out. I think that's the logical next step for the Bucks as EVPs on television, because you're not going to use Tony in that role as an on-screen character, but you can use those two guys in that position, and I think they're going to do really well.
Totally, yeah. I thought it was all funny. Now, you can never have a pro wrestling funny moment without some controversy. Tony Khan got on one of those shows and was talking about AEW's position out here and how they're the underdog. And at one point, Tony Khan says AEW is the Pepsi of pro wrestling. WWE is the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling. And so the guys on the show are immediately like, whoa, hold on a minute. I don't think we're going there. Wait, take it easy. And everything since then has been about that. What are your feelings on this, Philip Lindsey?
Shambles. I mean, well, we started out hot this year with everything going on between WWE and AEW. We got to WrestleMania weekend, and WWE was absolutely getting their shots off.
Ramped it.
They sent the guy Phil out there to do what he does best and stir up some controversy, get
It
his
worked.
shots in. That worked well for them. They've been getting shots in over there on commentary. I was watching SmackDown last night, and I saw somebody in the arena with a arena's empty wrestling sign. So the jabs have been going back and forth for quite some time. So I did not expect that to end here. I thought it was very strange that people got so upset at Tony taking jabs back as well. Now,
Mhm.
do I think that it's fair to be upset that you're using something as serious as the scandals around Vince McMahon and the very real victims attached to this in tribalism? I think it's fair to be upset about that, but I also think
Totally.
that the joke he made, or the shot he made, I thought it was funny, to be honest.
Totally.
Setting it up like, oh, we're Pepsi, and you would think he's gonna, yeah, we're Pepsi and they're Coke, and then going a completely different direction and calling them Weinstein. I actually thought that was funny.
Come on, man. Like, I know, I get, like, implications are crazy, but that is really funny.
I actually thought that was funny, and it's not like it's not accurate because I know people tie Weinstein to what he's known for now with, him being disgraced, but Weinstein Entertainment is a big deal. It's a big production company, and there are a lot of like big hit movies attached to him, and so I think in that vein, it actually is pretty accurate because WWE is this big, huge entertainment conglomerate, but then also you have this seedy, shady thing attached to it. So it's not a bad analogy. I think people just took it so literally, and it's just so wild to me that when they take shots, it's like certain people are like, "Oh, this is funny," and then when AEW takes shots back, it's like, well, how dare they? Like, and it's just like, guys, it's just wrestling, man. It's just both of these
Focused
companies.
on blah blah blah. It's like, dude, it's just shot. It's
It's
just
wrestling, man. Like, both of these companies are taking shots back and forth with each other. It's not that serious, man.
It's
And,
not.
and I mean, yeah, I do get that there are serious implications attached to this with the
Definitely.
lawsuit and Vince McMahon's disgusting behavior. But I think people getting so bent out of shape about this was kind of odd. I didn't understand why people were so mad.
This is a black eye in professional wrestling. How could Tony? I'm like, you guys are reacting more to Tony Khan saying the thing than the thing being done over in WWE. This doesn't make sense, you guys. What are you doing here? Wrestling fans sometimes just like don't understand what they're saying and doing. I'm like, okay, so you're more mad at him than you are, but whatever. It's sick, it's nasty, it's disgusting, and people are just trying to get bits off. And like you said, I don't think he was like, these are two sexual assaulters, which they are. He was saying this company's gonna forever be attached to something that is bad. So like anytime you think, like, I've watched so many movies that I love, and the beginning of them are Weinstein. I'm like, every single time, like 10 movies in a row, he's the reason that they're doing, and they're always going to be attached to that. And that's just what WWE, like, WrestleMania is forever. It's going to be at WrestleMania 60, but what's the reason all this shit started?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. It's not like this shot or this black eye is going to be the thing that completely overthrows WWE. But yeah, this has been a pretty massive news story that has rocked pro wrestling, that has been all over the place. So I don't.
And there's been new developments this week. Like it hasn't even started, honestly. Like, we're still just like building up to what this lawsuit and shit's gonna become.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think a lot of people overreacted to this. I didn't really have a comment on it other than, oh, that's a crazy thing he said in this interview. This guy's wild for that. And I just kind of chuckled at it and kept moving. I came back to Twitter and people were like, oh, this is so embarrassing. This is horrible. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to watching basketball, guys. Like, y'all got it. Like, it was just too much for me. But it's wrestling. I don't know.
Again, AEW is doing what they always do best. There's some controversy. People have been talking crazy about Tony Khan. People have been talking about the angle on Wednesday, and they put out a super fire ass card for tonight, and they're going to be great wrestling. That's how they counteract every controversy, is just by having great wrestling. This is the people. I have to remember that this shit's going to happen forever. There's never going to be a time where they stop throwing shots, because it's pro wrestling.
Of
this
course.
shit's been going on for 100 years, and it's going to go on for 100 more years.
Absolutely. And I fully believe if this was happening to AEW, those guys would have gotten shots in at the same thing.
Facts.
And you best believe that WWE fans would be throwing shots in at the same thing.
Huge facts.
So I don't know. I just think people trying to turn this into who has the moral high ground in wrestling. There's no moral high ground in wrestling. Like it's just not that big of a deal. And I know people are gonna go, well, he's got Ric Flair over there, and hey man, that is bad. I've never agreed with him bringing Ric Flair in. I've never agreed with other things attached to AEW as well, but I don't think it's a 1-to-1 comparison, man. Like, hey, you hired Ric Flair is not comparable to this like decade or so spanning sexual scandal in your company. It's not a 1-to-1 comparison, man.
Yeah, it's way different. And just like, let's not make those comparisons, because it's not good. Like,
and I don't think
like Chris Brown and Quavo's beef. It's like, y'all are having an abuser off. I don't want to have an abuser off.
Yeah, I just don't think that helps things either, and that's why I could see the point of maybe not using this as a dig at the other company, but
which I do understand.
But at the same time,
there's gonna forever be digs, though. It's the other thing, the other point. So
yeah, that is
that's our AEW talk.
There's our quick thoughts on Tony Khan in a neck brace, doing a very unserious shot at somebody. Like
unserious, so unserious. His dad has been the best bit though. Like him walking out, like he looked like your angry uncle at the barbecue pit. Like, you know, when he's like, "Damn, the food's not done yet. Like you've been cooking for 8 hours, bro."
When he came out with that look on his face, it didn't look like he was mad that they attacked Tony. It was just like, "Can we go home now?" Like,
are you done? Like, can we drive out of here, dude? You're done playing your little game. It happened on TV. Now,
you guys done LARPing now? Let's go.
He didn't look mad. He just looked like an annoyed dad here to pick up his son. Like, all right, dude, come on already. I seen you finished.
Enough, man. Let's go. Let's go home. Like,
are you done LARPing? I swear he's just like on the phone. Shots on the phone with his relatives, like, yeah, he's doing that little wrestling shit again, I guess. Like,
I wonder
how he does.
I wonder if anybody told him that was going to happen. I wonder if that was his real reaction or if he was acting.
I want real reaction. I hope that
I hope
did not let him in on it. He just did it.
That would make it so much more funny. I hope Tony didn't tell him that was going to happen, and he just ran out there like, "What's happening? What are you doing, my son?"
Nah, watching, like you said, watching Carly's eyes flash before his eyes of like, oh shit, like this guy has more money than anybody in this vicinity within like 1 billion yards. And I almost stepped on his shoe. Watching his life, like, oh my God, this could have been over so fast. Amazing. That whole scene was just like,
listen, man, as somebody that enjoys laughing at stupid things, I very much enjoyed laughing at not just the ending angle to this, but laughing at this guy on TV in a neck brace throwing a shot at WWE. I thought all of this was really funny. I'm sorry. I thought it was funny.
Bro used the NFL draft to get a shot off. I'm dead. Come on.
Yeah, again, man. I get some people aren't going to think this is as funny as I did, but I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, I just don't think all of this is that serious, man.
No, it all felt on the line for me. It's all just like blah, blah, blah. After Tony Khan got a shot off about WWE, Brandon Thurston announced that WrestleMania made $38 million. I think WWE is going to be fine.
They're just fine. They're just fine. And they are very much trying to distance themselves from anything Vince related. So
yeah.
it is what it is, man.
Because that came off of it too, of Vince is giving up off all of his shares. Yesterday, for a little bit, we got a little bit of like, what's going on? Because Nick Khan shares are also listed, but we've learned that they've been listed since September. So people were like, oh shit, Nick Khan must be out, but he's had his shares listed for a while.
Yeah, I see people that say that this could be him being done with the company, but apparently his employee contract is up until 2025, so he'll be still an employee at least until next year.
But there's also the connection, which is crazy. Vince this week announced that he's going to have the same lawyers as Harvey Weinstein, and while Harvey Weinstein was doing his thing, Nick Khan was the representative for the CAA, and he's implicated in that lawsuit. He's implicated in a lot of lawsuits, this Nick Khan guy. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough road for him. He's in the Janelle Grant and the Harvey Weinstein lawsuit. So,
again, wasn't really a bad comparison, but...
Like, he has a lot of connections. You know what I mean? Like,
I know people might not have liked that Tony was the one that made that joke, but I don't know.
It's a super chats. We kind of have a lot of them. Devil Kazuya 27 says, "I love Solo with Tamatonga. They legit look cool. They do look cool. That is one thing about them."
Yeah, I like the new presentation for Solo with the suit. He's now added the driving gloves to it. Tamatonga comes out with his button up like somebody invited him out for drinks. Yeah, it's great. I like it so far. I like Paul Heyman continuing to do his "I'm scared that I'm gonna make a mistake and you guys are gonna beat me up" shtick every time he has.
Every time Thomas shows up, he's like, "Oh shit."
Oh my god. Oh.
Van Twinblade says Facebook and Google both collect and sell your data to the government. If Congress gave a F about privacy, they would shut both them down. It's a scam. Don't buy it. Yeah, the whole thing is about they want the data. They don't want anybody else to have it. That's what this whole thing is.
Yeah, big scamming going on.
They're like, we do the data collecting over here, not anyone else. Delayed Grat says, so proud of all the black champions. Long time coming. Ricochet questioning his life choices as TikTok champion. Shad Khan's mustache is super over. Shad Khan's mustache is legit elite. Like,
it's an elite mustache, man.
$1 billion mustache. You think he gets it? Like, remember Steve Harvey said back in the day he would get a haircut every day. Like, you think Shad gets his mustache edged up every single day?
I don't know, man. Whatever they're doing with the comb and the mousse and like getting it in that perfect like swirl and everything, man. Like A plus work there, man.
Whoever's on mustache duty over there is killing it. Chi-Town Spurs says, glad you guys brought up House of Black as a trio. I think people are a little down on them, but I love their run in 2024 so far. Once you accept that Malachi isn't who he was 6 years ago, it's easier to appreciate. Great point, Chi-Town Spurs. People are still trying to connect Malachi to who they think he is or who he was, and he just represents as a different wrestler and character at this point.
That feels like it was like 1,000 years ago when he first came into the company and kicked Cody's head off, and then they had that feud that went on forever. Like, that seems like that was like ages ago.
That seems like it was 500 years ago. That's crazy. He's so different. He's way different than even he was then. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's different. Bragov says, what's up, Bragov? Happy Grapsody. I watched Dynasty on Monday and fully skipped the Y2J match, so I enjoyed the pay-per-view. Bryan versus Ospreay was so good. Wrestling is amazing.
Yeah. Really, really great show, man. I really think it's going to go down as one of their all-time best shows.
It definitely is. Our friend Aaron Busby, appreciate you, Busby, says, I know Ospreay chose AEW, but the fan of me wanted him in WWE just for him to go against Seth Rollins, but I don't know if Seth's body can hold together against him. You wanted that for just one match, Busby? What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know if it was worth it to go over there just for the Seth match. I think that there was a lot of story you can get out of that. I think there were some cool things you can do with it. I'm sure the match would have been great, but I don't know if it was worth it for just that match.
I think we'll see that match before both of those guys retire. I don't know where, I don't know when, but we will. I can see Ospreay going over there maybe for like a year.
Even after his shots he took.
But most importantly, I can see Rollins in AEW. I can see Rollins ending his career in AEW.
I can't.
I think Rollins is such an interesting character because his trajectory, his like everything that he's done in his career is AEW. Like he's such an AEW wrestler. Like it's kind of funny that he's gotten so over in WWE.
But he's told you every step of the way that this is where he wants to be.
But it doesn't match up to what his character and his wrestling style is.
I know, but
of course he's been there for a reason. But like, if you just like, who's Seth Rollins, who's Tyler Buck, you think he would be an AEW wrestler?
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense, but it does make sense because he wanted to be on the biggest show, the biggest platform. He's WrestleMania main evented. Like it makes more sense to be over there. But he seems like an AEW wrestler.
This is again his similarities to CM Punk are very funny to me because on the surface, CM Punk seems like an AEW wrestler as well, and you see where he is.
Legit. Every last word I just said about Seth Rollins, you can apply to CM Punk. Like I never. When CM Punk first got signed into WWE, I didn't think he was going to last. They were like, oh, CM Punk's going to be here. And I knew him from the ROH World Champion. I knew him from his TNA run. I was like, this guy's not going to make it. They don't like anything about him. They don't like the way he looks. They don't like the way he works. They don't like the way he talks. The fact that he did end up getting over is a testament to him. When Bryan Danielson got signed, I was like, there's no way he's going to get over here. He ended up getting over there. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I don't know.
But Seth and Punk comparisons are not just kayfabe; they're real.
Very funny, man. But I personally don't see Rollins leaving. I think he's going to sign an extension.
I'm thinking not forever, but one day.
Yeah,
he's definitely going to re-sign right now, though. Reggie Simmons says Phil been holding the bomb for a minute. Well, yeah,
you can't listen. You can't just do it for everything, man.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't hit the same. Like if we were dropping them every week, you guys would be like, stop. But like,
no.
Glassdoor Gamer says TNT without the NBA is a foul. That just sounds weird.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man.
They announced this Amazon deal this week. Was it Amazon?
Yeah, I just can't see the Warner Brothers not having anything to do with basketball. They've made so much money with the NBA. I can't see them just completely being done with basketball. I just don't see it.
That would be crazy for them to just be like, no, we're done. We don't need any of that. Like after so many years of you guys being synonymous with basketball, that's crazy.
They still have the best studio show when it comes to basketball. Like,
what are they going to do with that?
NBA on TNT, without that, I don't know what we're doing, man. Like, listen, without those four guys after the ball games, a lot of us are cutting our TV off and watching something else, man.
All the way off. Yeah, I'm not hanging on it. You know how many jokes and bits and great analysts we've gotten with those guys? It won't feel right to not see them after the games.
No.
Better figure it out. Glassdoor Gamer says Swerve versus Ospreay title for title at Wembley.
I wouldn't think so, but listen, I want that match, man. I really want to see Swerve versus Ospreay. It doesn't sound like we're getting it this year at Wembley.
We'll get it though. Chi-Town Spurs says definitely should have done barbecue. As a Chicagoan, I can admit if there's one area we can improve on, it's barbecue. Our pizza clears their Provel cheese nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, do you have a good place to get barbecue in Chicago?
Yeah, of course. This is a foodie city, man. Like, there's great food everywhere. You didn't go to all of the right places to go get food, man. You weren't here long enough, and personally, you should have asked me where to go. You let other people tell you where to go. You should have asked me.
Yeah, big mistake. Thanks a lot, you guys. Van Twinblade says, is Chuck gonna join his second cousin 3 times removed group? Gonna go, hey Shane, can I get a spot?
I don't know.
Could potentially. EP Styles says we're in the Swerve era. Shout out to Grapsody.
We are absolutely in the Swerve era.
Van Twinblade says come back and get pork steak. Steak is better than pooled.
Yeah, somebody told me to get pork steak while I was there after I had already eaten pizza.
You're like,
So
I'm full, dude. I can't.
I was pretty annoyed by that.
Oh, James Stallings has a good question. Watching on delay. Sorry if answered. Why is Swerve mad at you, Phil?
I don't know if I can answer that question publicly. It is a funny story. Well, it's at least a funny story to me.
It's really funny story. I don't know if
It's a funny story to me.
But
I
yeah,
don't
that's
think
the part we didn't talk about in the press conference. Phil got a question during Swerve's thing, and Swerve goes, "Oh yeah, I'm still mad at you though. We're gonna fight."
Yeah. I was like, hold on. But no, it's just what you would expect from me at this point, based on what you know about me online and on this podcast. I'm an opinionated person, and so sometimes, we're just not gonna agree on certain things, and that's all it is.
Just Phil being Phil, standing on
Yeah.
business. Alexander Fitzgerald says, I can't believe I saw Bischoff say this was the worst angle he's seen in the last 30 years. They did everything right to get heat on the Elite. To even say that with some of the angles he's done personally himself, it's like, all right, Bischoff.
Yeah, it's not that serious, man. Like, it was I think it was a good angle, and I think it was very smart based on what they've done with Jack since he got back. It was a good way to get heat on Jack and continue to get heat on the Elite.
This is a guy trying to kill the stink of everybody saying the finger poke of doom is the worst thing. He's trying to be like, no, actually, what about this? I see what you're doing, big dog.
Listen, you cannot tell me that, like, over the last 3 weeks that they haven't planned this well. You had Jack at Windy City Riot, then you have him show up at Dynasty, then you have him show up on Dynamite, do this angle with him to get heat on him, and then you've got Kenny Omega coming back next week.
Come on.
In his hometown.
Come on,
dog. Cut it out.
EP Style says, generational ace of New Japan, Big Cooch. Oh, y'all are funny. Alexander Fitzgerald also says, Shad came out at the end and was like, are you winning, son? He was not winning.
Did you win?
Tony's all laid out like Peter Griffin.
I
wonder how long he's gonna wear that neck brace. Like, is it gonna be Roderick Strong amount of time? Like, in a year, we're still seeing him in that neck brace. That would be really funny.
Yeah, I seen Roderick getting his hashtag neck strong off. That was pretty funny too.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what's over there? Says, speaking of Will winning the international title, will set up Pac versus Will at All In, which we talked about. Yeah,
I think that should be the match. Hopefully, Pac gets a big match this year at Wembley.
Mm-hmm. And then Chi-Town Spurs says, this is the most I've seen the case being talked about since the Royal Rumble Pro Show presser. People forget that real quick, so I can say the line didn't work. So I can't say that the line didn't work. Speaking of the Tony Khan thing, like, people, it hasn't been as prevalent. It's still going on all the time. Shout out to Brandon Thurston and team continuously going in on this case, and the post wrestling guys too. But this is like the most, like, everybody in the space has been talking about it. It feels.
Yeah. Speaking of people that I'm like kind of mad at, like, I saw that Drew was in St. Louis. I was like, hey, wait a minute.
Wow.
You can't let your guy know you're in town and we're both in the same place?
Come on, Drew. You can find me in St. Louis. What's going on here? Drew be busy when he be out on his little excursions. I see what he be doing. He be getting his interviews in. That's all of our super chats for now. Y'all are dope.
We've got some humper chats. I'm sure we have a lot of humper chats. Before we get into this, I'm going to hit a word from our sponsors. And we've got some draft talk, I guess.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful, here to tell you about BetOnline AG. The highest credit card acceptance industry-wide, 25-plus year track record, safe and secure online environments, payouts in minutes, the fastest in the industry. You can bet big with their high limits and rebet functionality, the earliest line, so odds open before the competition, the industry's best bonuses on every qualifying deposit, and we're talking on everything. Wrestling, they got it. MMA, they got it. Boxing, they got it. But hey, you know what? I know we're Fightful. We don't just live for that. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, racing, esports, anything you can think of. Not only that, this is exclusively where Fightful gets our lines from. If you hear us talking about lines on a prediction show or on our post shows, it is always from BetOnline AG. Please bet responsibly and only bet what you can. BetOnline.ag.
Please bet responsibly, everyone. But betonline.ag is your place to go if you want to bet on pro wrestling, pro sports. Did pretty well this weekend, man. Lakers helped me out a bit. Did pretty well on BetOnline.
Lakers donated to the sneaker fund, it sounds like.
They did. They did. Helped me out a little bit. Just
Does it feel sweeter when it's the Lakers loss that's on the top of it?
It did feel really funny watching that game, realizing they were going to lose last week, and looking down at my phone and going, "Oh, that's nice." Really, because felt really good, man.
Makes it a little sweeter, huh?
Yeah, these guys helped me out 2 times, man. They did the in-season tournament. I picked them to win the in-season tournament. Did really well on that one, and I was just like, "Oh, well." Listen, man. You guys may think that I'm just this big colossal LeBron hater, but LeBron has given me some good moments this year. He's given me some very entertaining moments watching on my television, laughing at him as he whines about a call while they're losing, or watching, my account, go up based on a bet I made. So thanks, LeBron.
Thanks, LeBron. You never thought you'd hear that on Grapsody. Thanks, LeBron.
See, we got some Humper chats before we get into some WWE talk and get up out of here. See, from Tony P, he says, I have thoughts on the hate with Swerve, from the racists who comment to those that still felt a way about some comments / clips he made. Those I feel were an overreach and the one he should apologize for. Yeah. Wait, am I missing the end? Oh, he goes on to say, I hope he learns from Jay after his comments, but even those felt that he still knows and understands it is important for the community. Yeah, I don't want to get into some of the negative stuff I saw, man. I just think that, if you're just not a fan of the guy or you're still hung up on certain things, I think waiting until he's having the biggest moment of his career to try and fill the timeline with that is just, I don't like it. I just think it feels like hating. And I mean, even if you have a point in what you're upset about, and you made that point then, you made that point when it happened.
You made it.
But
why are you making it again?
But to try and wait until he's having the best moment of his career to then try and litter that all over the timeline to tear him down, I just don't agree with that. And I mean, that is what it is. I mean, I don't want to get into some of the list stuff. I don't want to. We asked him when we did an interview about the list thing. You can go back. We asked, I think that was our second interview, and he gave his thoughts on it. I don't have anything else to add other than that.
Can't imagine what this year is going to be like.
Yeah, I don't know. The clip thing, the other thing, I don't know. I just feel like people kind of took it and ran with it and tried to create a narrative. I think the most unfortunate thing that I keep seeing is people saying that he doesn't want to be black or that he doesn't like black women and all this other stuff. And I just think that that's complete nonsense. Like, again, it's okay if you don't agree with certain things he's said and done, if you don't like him as a person, whatever. But when you're trying to spin that into narratives about him as a person and you don't know this person well enough to make those claims, I just think that that's totally unnecessary.
Yeah, it feels like we're supposed to be fighting for something. We're supposed to represent something. We're supposed to be about this culture. And sometimes there's moments that trump other things, no pun intended, that are bigger than your personal feelings, I feel. And this felt like one of those moments. This felt like everybody was adding their personal things in. One, you have personal things with somebody you don't even know. And two, it's like, it's just not the time, you guys.
Yeah, this felt like people making it about themselves, and that's why I'm like, even if you have valid reasons to not want to be a fan of his, you've made that point. Like you're trying to wait until he's having the biggest moment of his career and he's achieved something for the culture, and then go, oh well, why does this matter for the culture? Oh, now he wants to be black. Get the
I
fuck out of
hate
here,
that
bro.
shit.
Like I think that all of that is corny, man. Like, and I mean, I'm sure some
Oh,
people.
now I hate when people say, "Oh, now." That shit drives me crazy.
And I'm sure people will feel a way about me saying that, but hey, guess what? I don't care. So, and if people can always reach out to me if they don't understand what I mean or they want to have a conversation with it, but I'm sure that people will do what they always do. So, whatever. Again, happy for him over here. I'm not trying to hear none of that.
Yep. Thought you was coming for slander over here. You at the wrong place, brother.
You're in the wrong podcast if you thought we was about to do that. We're not on that. Tony P goes on to say, also the TK Pepsi line, can he hire someone to teach him to talk shit? Like, he got all that money. Hire Cat if you want to learn to talk shit. Have beef like a normal person and not like a rich person. But he's not a normal person.
He's not a normal person. He is a rich. He's a billionaire.
Oh, also, now that I said that, I am now seeing Cat talking shit in in that brace. If he was to own, and now you do too. LOL. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's yeah.
I think again we continuously try to hold Tony Khan to some standards that are we can't even compute what those standards are that he runs by.
Yeah. Tony P says, last thing, what are the women's matches you want at Forbidden Door? We know we're getting Mina and Tony in something, but what about Monet and other? Also, Deeb going after Tony now seems like a pivot because of a possible hurt Yuka Sakasawa. What is another match? I mean, Mina has been campaigning for a match with Mercedes for a long time. Now that it seems like the Tony match is going to happen, it seems like that's possible down the line, but not a Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad at Mercedes versus Asumi 1-on-1. We got the triple threat match from Sakura Genesis. I wouldn't be mad at a 1-on-1 match. See, another match for
I like Mercedes and Azumi because I'm becoming a big Azumi fan, and like
Azumi's awesome, man. Like,
yeah,
you're not a Azumi fan at this point. You're missing out.
I just want to see Mercedes in some fast shit because that triple threat match is like what I like. It was just like spots. More of that.
Yeah. Let's see if anybody else from over there, maybe somebody like Saya Kamatani, that'd be cool. I keep saying Mercedes versus Tam Nakano makes a lot of sense. As a matter of fact, that's my answer for Forbidden Door. I would love to see Mercedes versus Tam.
I see too. Yeah, I think if Tony should get a match and then Mercedes should get a match too. So book them. About to watch All About the Benjamins after this. Book them.
Tony left one more. He says, I hope it is just a setup for a future match and all. And Yuka is okay to finish her feud with Deep. Also, where you see Rosa Diana feud going, is it a setup for a heel Diana or something more with the two? Lastly, do you see Nick defending the belt at Forbidden Door? I definitely feel like Diana is eventually going to turn heel. I think the Virtuosa character just works better at the heel.
It does. I think they need more strong heels in the women's division too, and she's one of the strongest. Just makes sense.
Yes. I hope Nick defends the belt at Forbidden Door. I think it'd be cool to see Nick Nemeth on an AEW show, especially because the tie to Ryan, and he's been great with AEW. Honestly, he's been having good matches over there.
But what if they just have him defend against Ryan though?
Really want that. You gotta come on, man. But I would love to see Nick Nemeth.
No, I want to see that though.
Nick Nemeth at Forbidden Door would be fun.
Not the Ryan match. I want to see Nick Nemeth at Forbidden Door. I think there's some fun matchups for him to have in AEW, and I just think it's a fun little crossover.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of, you saw this Mustafa Ali stuff?
I think some people jumped the gun.
Yes.
I won't. I think some people jumped the gun, man. I think.
I was just like, what is happening here?
I think Ali's response to it and him just kind of laughing it off and then promoting the next New Japan appearance kind of made the point. I'm glad that he did it that way. He didn't try and do the whole "you dirt sheet guys stink" and all of that stuff. He just was like, "Ha ha, come to this show."
And then Rocky was like, "Not true."
Yeah, and I think that was it. You didn't have to turn it into anything else. I saw some people trying to slander Ali's name and say, "Oh, well, if you don't want to put nobody over, then what are we doing?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, but you don't have any proof that that's what's happening."
Yeah,
so.
I hate that people turned it into that too. Of like, well, you can't. See, that's where it gets complicated with news stories because I fuck with Body Slam. I like Cassidy, but like people, it's not gospel. Like I don't know what Cassidy's hate. I don't know what his sources. I don't know any like, but it's not like okay, the story dropped, so this is 100% truth. And I hate that's how sometimes news stories happen. Because as soon as the story drops, everybody's like, yeah, fuck Ali. I'm like, well, what? You can't just make assumptions though. That doesn't really. It's not really how this works.
Yeah, and of course, just how this landscape works with everything in journalism and how the second anybody makes a mistake, then that turns into, oh, you guys are the worst. Dirt sheets are the worst. Wrestling media is always doing
this. The shit I'm talking about, and it's like what?
Yeah, and I don't think it needs to be all of that. I think that whoever over at Body Slam, I think I didn't see who reported. Was it Cassidy?
Cassidy reported it. Yeah.
Well, Cassidy's just reporting what he heard from his source. I don't think that makes him wrong. I think he's just reporting what he got from his source.
Exactly.
And we've seen that several times in this space where a source tells somebody something and they report it. That doesn't mean that it's the truth. It's just, I'm just reporting what I was told.
And like, people don't understand how fast like these things change. Like someone could tell Cassidy or Dave something, and then an hour later that shit's changed, and that Dave's story is old. But that's just how it works. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that the original thing was fake. It's just like wrestling moves so fast, things change so quickly.
Yeah.
And telephone tell a wrestler like this Ali story could have started as one thing, and when it got to Cassidy, it's a whole big different thing. You know what I mean? Like that's just how these things work.
Yeah, and the problem with reporting something that's being negotiated is when you put something out when it's like that did not happen, and you only hear like the side in a negotiating, that might not be why it didn't happen. That's just what maybe somebody close to the situation heard about the negotiations, but that doesn't mean that's where the negotiations broke down. Like, and that's how I read it.
With how wrestling works too, someone not even familiar to the situation or just in the vicinity could have been like, it's because Ali didn't want to lose, and like that shit can it could go from that to where we are. Like that's how wrestling works.
What I don't like about it is that can have like some real implications on his reputation. That can have some damaging effects on him working, especially as somebody that's not contracted, that's just trying to get bookings. And that was kind of the thing that I didn't like coming out of it, that people started talking about him in this way. And I'm just like, you have no idea if that's true. You don't know the guy. Like, just come on.
And this guy, like you said, is a free agent, still trying to get jobs, still trying to work. And like wrestling business is not as secure as people think it is. He doesn't have time to be having to clear his name and fight with promoters and do all these things. So
yeah. And so I'm glad the way I think he responded to it the right way. I'm glad that he and Rocky cleared it up, because I just don't want that on his jacket. And you've got people that are trying to make it seem like he just don't want to do the job. And
now you were at the Windy City Riot show. Did his promo, because Cassidy was trying to say like that was a shoot, did it feel like a shoot while you were listening to it?
No, I think this is just his usual character.
That's a stick, right?
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me.
That's what it all feels like to me. It all feels like Ali's he's enhancing his character, and like he's been cooking too. So I'm like, I don't really understand what we're doing here.
And the match at Windy City Riot was really good. Like what? I don't know, man. Like I don't think that we need to be privy to some of this news because some fans just don't know what
They don't
to
know
do
how to
with
handle it. Mhm.
They read things, they read too much into things, and like you said, they'll take something as gospel and then turn it into, oh well, this guy's awful because he don't want to do a job, and it's just like you don't know that, you don't know what you're
Like
talking about.
there's gonna be people that carry this, even like if everything is accurately corrected, if everything is blah blah blah, there's still gonna be people that are like, well, Ollie doesn't like to lose just forever, just because they heard this one story.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't like about it, and I don't think that that's necessarily Cassie's fault. But
No.
that's the game right now. That's
Mhm.
wrestling right now. That's online discourse. People just run with things and look for reasons to dunk on somebody.
Because Cassidy did his due diligence, like you said, he got his source was like, this was what happened, and he reported it. Like that's what he can do,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And if you trust your sources, you're gonna go with what they said and not any kind of crazy kickback. So it's just, but we just know too much. Like we didn't need to know that regardless. I feel like there's no reason in the world we need to know this. Maybe like, oh, what? Because I don't think I was that curious as to why he wasn't in the tournament. Like it would have been great if he was in the tournament, but I wasn't like, I need to know the story. What's going on here? Because he doesn't want, you know. So
yeah. Oh, we got 3 more Humper chats here. We got a Humper chat from another Humper chat regular, Nelson Muntz. He says, people are being exposed left and right. Tony Khan exposed WWE and Nick Khan in particular on a big stage. The Nuggets exposed LaFraud and AD, and Gucci Mane exposed those things about Diddy. This is a crazy year. I love every bit about it. No Diddy. I don't know if he exposed things about Nick Khan because some of this stuff was already public knowledge. But yeah, what a year, man. I keep saying Cat Williams definitely kicked off the tone for this year with that energy of.
it's been so weird since that interview dropped, Phil. Every week something. Now, like every time Shannon Sharp drops an interview, there's controversy on it. Like it's just the ripple effect of what that interview caused is so crazy.
Yeah. Got 2 from Tyrone Kidd. He says, "What's up, Phil and Media Man? I just want to take this time to give Swerve his flowers. I met him at New England PA Wrestling. I think that's what this stands for. NEPA Wrestling show. I was working out. He was coming out to Fame by B.O.B. and he made it his own. Then in Dub X Dub, he was making Michael Jackson work. That's right. I completely forgot he used to come out to Fame.
That's right. It's so funny that they make the Carmelo and Swerve comparisons. I'm like, yeah, because Swerve already did all this stuff before. Not anything on Carmelo. That's just like Swerve has been around for a while and he's done a lot.
I don't like the people keep trying to pit them against each other or make these comparisons. I think they're both great wrestlers. I don't think you have.
They're so different too, man. Yeah. Like what? Like they don't even present them. They don't work the same. They don't talk the same. Like nothing's even the same.
No, I hate that people keep trying to do that.
They don't look the same. Nothing.
No, and I mean it's attached to some other stuff. It's attached to some of that list stuff that I don't want to get into. Last one from Tyrone Kidd. He says, from CZW to England to MLW to NXT to AEW, the man had worked for what he wanted. I'm proud of the guy and wish him the best. True man of the media. I think now that he's on top, people from his past will come back. Hangman and Nick Wayne and Christian feud. Yeah, that makes sense. I think we will see Hangman again. And I think we will probably see Nick Wayne again.
I'm really sad that Darby's hurt during all of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a built-in little thing right there, and he's just gone. But yeah, I do feel like they're gonna run back some things with this Swerve story and tie some loose ends. It's gonna be very exciting.
Yeah. Tyrone Kidd says he meant Northeast PA Wrestling.
Oh, Northeast PA. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that is all of our Humper Chats. Of course, if you still want to send in some Humper Chats, last call for those, humperchats.com/Fightful. Last call for Super Chats as well. Let's get into a little bit of WWE news before we get out of here. I'm sure some people are going to be like, when are you going to talk about the draft? You guys have been talking about AEW this whole time.
That show was boring as hell. I watched the draft, and brother, this is what y'all are doing. Like, this is the draft. Give me something exciting to do. And y'all are not giving me nothing exciting to do. Jesus Christ. I like the Naomi and Tiffany Stratton match. I think them continuously giving moments is great, but they had a shitty finish. This show was just boring. It wasn't even, again, WWE shows are never bad. They're just boring, and that's worse.
We're never ducking certain allegations. Man.
No, we're out of here. We praised Swerve for an hour, and then I said the show sucked. Oh, we're done.
Oh man. I like the presentation this year for the draft. I like the way they did it with actually showing the war room. I like that they actually showed the people at NXT, so it felt like a draft.
Totally.
Having Kiana James get drafted, and then she put the Raw hat on like an actual draft. I thought all of that stuff.
What's the other I don't want to. What's the cute black woman's name? Isn't her name Kiana also? When they announced Kiana James, I was like, isn't that the other? What's Mello? I think her and Mello are together. What's her name? Isn't it something like that too? That's why when they announced, I was like, is it her? Let me figure it out what it is.
I know that he's dating someone over there. I don't know.
What's her name?
But yeah, I thought the presentation for the draft was better this year. You're thinking of Kaylani Jordan.
Oh, Kaylani. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
I saw a K. All those names they kind of run together.
Kyrie, Kobe, KD, pick a K. Nikki was wild for that line. Pick a K.
But yeah, I was just confused as to what's going on. I like the presentation. It just, there wasn't like, if you missed this show, you would be fine. And I don't think that this is a draft show. Give it up. Why aren't you guys giving it up? Like, I didn't feel like there was anything that was like, this is must see. You have to come figure out these picks. Even when they started the picks, it was like, of course. It wasn't anything like, wow, this is really going to change the game. It just felt kind of like they did the same thing, you know?
Yeah, I think everything about it that it looked like they attempted to do to change it made it better. Like I said, the presentation of it, having legends come back and do the draft picks, having the GMs in each room. I laughed hysterically at the first person to come out and say the drafts because I was like, this guy, he's gonna find a way to get on TV every week, man.
Even when Cody was walking back and then the music hit and Cody was like, you're
here again, huh?
Yeah, we're doing this again. You're gonna hold my hand up again, huh? Yeah, I guess so. All right.
Bro, it's crazy, man. Watching Raw, Tommaso Ciampa did a pedigree. I was like, man, it's a lot of wrestlers on this show doing pedigrees now, man.
Y'all gonna have to fight for pedigrees, man, because it can't be Seth, Cody, Tommaso, Triple H trying to get one in himself too at this point. Shit.
Yeah, but yeah, I think a lot of stuff around it, like making sure the champions are protected. I think that made sense. I don't understand why they didn't do that before. That would have made a lot of sense, especially with stuff like the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship. That way you can make it clear that those titles are not going to move by making those protect the picks. I don't know why they didn't do that years ago.
They've been doing this logical sense since 2002, and this is the first time they've ever thought of doing that.
Yeah, so man, all of that stuff made it feel more like a real draft. I like the touch of when you watch the NFL draft, it has that little music that plays before the draft, and they did the same thing with their version of it with the WWE music. All of that stuff, like I said, the presentation and stuff, I enjoyed all of that. But there weren't any real big moves here. There weren't anything that really felt like a shakeup. Right. And maybe they're saving that stuff for Raw, but nothing here felt huge. I mean, again, I think it's really dope that Bianca went number one. Having Bianca as the number one overall pick just shows like how much she's grown as a performer, how much she's grown as a star with that company, being the WWE 2K cover athlete and getting this in the same year. May not be champion, but this just shows that she's still a massive star. I think that's great.
Big star. I like that, and I love just that that how much they have stock in Bianca, putting her on the cover. Always, like anytime they have like an advertisement, it's like 6 dudes and Bianca. Like she's always she's always there. And this was just another thing to add on to that. I love. I think for one person that did benefit a lot from this was Melo. I think having the tag of #1 draft pick, him just fits so well. Like when he was saying it, I was like, oh yeah, this really fits him.
Yeah, I think him going in the first round, I think that was really good. Having him be the first guy to come up from NXT and getting his call up in this way, I think it helped. Then, of course, coming straight in, having a match with Cody, I think that was a good moment for him. Of course, if you know, he was one of the guys that helped Cody get ready to come back after he came back from the torn pec. And so, you've got all of that history. Of course, they've talked about that, I believe, on the documentary for Cody.
Yeah.
And so it's public knowledge enough that it made sense for them to bring it on the TV. He came out looking great. He had that fit on. The match was fun for what it was. I know people are going to keep making fun of that spot with the 2 springboards, but I thought the match was good for what it was.
Their styles just don't match. That's it. I love both of those guys. They're both incredible. I wasn't clamoring for a match against each other because their styles don't really add together. And it showed on this match. Melo's trying to go, that spot didn't work because Melo's trying to go 1,000,000 miles per hour and Cody doesn't go 1,000,000 miles per hour. If we're going to do a spot, we got to walk through it with Cody Rhodes. And that's why it happened. And just that their styles, Cody's Southern, old school, blah, blah, blah. It's the total opposite of what Melo is. And that's not taking away from any of them. Cody's the champ, Cody's this. They're just styles don't really add up.
Are you saying this is a styles clash?
Whoa.
That what you're saying happening?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Paris, baby.
Yeah, of course, we opened the show with the contract signing with AJ and Cody. I thought that was really good. Very much looking forward to that match at Backlash.
Yeah, the history that they have, like they never really had a one-on-one match, and they've been in a lot of the same. They have the almost like kind of the same career trajectory with championships, and so this like makes a lot of sense.
What do you think of Melo losing straight away, coming straight in and losing on the first night?
You know me, wins and losses. I fucking hate him. I don't care about people, Lindsey. If you're going to lose to somebody, he lost to the world champion. He had a great showing. They presented him as a big star the whole show. Like, he's fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I would have preferred for him to not come straight in and get a loss, but I think he'll be fine. I think when you look at the guys that he got drafted alongside with in that first round, Bianca, main event Jey Uso, Carmelo, Seth Rollins. That's pretty good company to be in with. So I think as long as they follow up well, I'm not mad at this, but it all depends on the follow up.
What do you think? What's Melo's trajectory for like the next 6 months? Does he get involved in a title feud? Does he get? What do you think happens?
I have no idea. At one point, I thought he was going to join Lashley, but it seems like they're kind of set on what their stable is now. So I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting.
Because it very much felt like he was building like a new hit row at one point. I mean, not hit row, but a new
Street Profits.
Not Street Profits. You know, the Lashley stable with MVP.
I mean, Hurt Business.
Hurt Business. Yeah. It seemed like Street Profits. We're just jumping on. What other black stable can we throw out? The Nation.
Turn me into my grandma and shit when she's trying to figure out what kid she wants. I'm like, Mia, Danny, Sonya.
Yeah, one of them. Alien. But yeah, it felt like he was building a new Hurt Business at one point. So I thought it was going to be Bobby, the Street Profits, and Melo. And maybe it's still good.
Too. I was like, Street Profits. Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, it feels like that's where what they were going for, but I think they're gonna. Melo's such a good talker and a good promo. Like, I don't think he really needs anybody to stand behind. I think he could do all this on his own.
I wouldn't be mad at just MVP as his manager though.
Definitely.
I think that would work if they wanted to just pair them up.
I think especially with this first round draft pick thing and like his presentation, him and MVP makes a lot of sense. Like,
yeah, they have
a lot of sense.
They have the similar thing. Like he does the balling, he does the I don't miss. Like it makes sense.
That does make sense. Okay, yeah, I'm in on that.
Yeah, I would like to see that. And where the heck is MVP? Why is he
MVP? Yeah. And they had
Yeah.
Cedric jobbing on the. What is going on? There was a couple things last night. I was like, okay, wait a second.
I hated Cedric losing like that, man. Do
What was
something with
that?
Cedric, man. I don't
And they
get it.
draft him and Ashante, so they're still doing that tag thing, but like they're not
They don't treat them like a tag team.
at all.
I don't know, but yeah, not much to write home about the first round. I mean, all kind of predictable picks. Bianca stayed put. Jay is staying put. The only real big movement is Carmelo. Of course, Rollins is staying put on Raw. We also got the news that Roman is withdrawing for the draft, so he will not be drafted. I think that's going to play a big part into the bloodline stuff in a few months. And I think that's a good way to justify not moving him so that he can show back up on SmackDown.
Yes, I do. I love that they addressed it too. They didn't just let it happen. They're like, yo, Roman might not be here for a while. We're going to let y'all know out the gate. And that's just going to give good heat to Solo and Tama and eventually where's Jacob if he does show up. I think that's a good sign from them. I did like how they switched over Braun Breaker to Raw because I think he could do I think he's gonna excel more on Raw than he is on SmackDown. I think it's too crowded for what he's trying to do. I think he has a better chance of getting more over on Raw.
Yeah, I think possibly putting him on the same roster with the Creeds and Gable.
Yes,
I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if we're building towards possibly getting a Gable Intercontinental title run. I think that makes a lot of sense. But it is
might
funny.
Honestly can join like him and Gable leaves those guys and joins up with Braun.
Yeah. It's just funny that they built up him trying to figure out where he wanted to sign for all that time, just for him to finally pick SmackDown, and then he just gets drafted somewhere else. Like
that
okay.
was silly. Yeah, I didn't really get that.
And that's gonna feel funny with Jay. Like you waited all that time for her to pick a brand, and now she's in the draft pool, so it's like she can end up on another brand anyway.
Oh my god, they had her coming out on SmackDown for months, being like, "Where am I gonna sign? What's this gonna be?" Silly, but it feels like they're setting her up. That's the kind of story I didn't really get either, because eventually Bianca comes out and they're selling the match that's happening at Backlash, and she's like, I really hope Jade gets voted over here, because if we, it's like, well, that, huh? You know what I mean?
There's
like,
no way she's gonna end up on SmackDown. That's just like a big plot hole. Like there's no way she's gonna end up on SmackDown, because you have to build to the title match. So if they lose this match, they're gonna get split up. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what? That doesn't.
And I don't think they're gonna lose the match anyway. But regardless, like, I don't know.
I think I'd rather them tie in the pay-per-view or whatever before the draft, because this is like, we got the title matches looming. We got too much looming over where the pieces are going to land. And so it's like, well, we're going to have to wait another month for everything to take effect, or whatever kind of strategy they're going with. And it just seems a little weird.
Yeah, second round, like you said, we got Braun Breaker moving on to Raw. We got Randy Orton staying put on SmackDown. We got Liv Morgan staying put on Raw. But I thought the most interesting thing out of this is Nia Jax is going to SmackDown. And that's what I wanted, because now you can get back to possibly Jade versus Nia. You could pay off that interaction from Royal Rumble. And that also kind of tells me, like, Jade's not moving. She's going to be on SmackDown.
Right. Yeah, all the pieces are like, oh, here they're giving Jade stuff, they're giving Bianca stuff, they're giving Bayley stuff. Like, I think Nia Jax is one of the best moves of the women's division, honestly. The Raw division, I don't know what they're gonna be doing over there.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest of the draft is pretty much predictable. Like I said, a lot of these people stay put. Nobody moved for. I mean, of course, the other big news is Kiana James is making a move up to Raw from NXT. I think that's great for her. I think that's a big move. I'm glad that they treated it like a big deal. And I'm looking forward to them doing more with the NXT wrestlers on Monday. I don't know why I thought that including NXT in the draft meant that you could possibly draft somebody from the main roster to NXT. And maybe that could still happen on Monday, but we didn't get any of that on last night's episode, so I don't know.
I was waiting the whole time, like, well, is NXT gonna get a pick out here? Because they're just getting picked off at this point.
So basically, you're just treating them like just a talent pool. Like, you're not moving anybody to NXT. So
right.
which I don't know why.
And
you
it's
didn't.
gonna look worse because they've been doing this thing. They've been doing the after show draft. Like they've been drafting people. Like I saw that
Yeah.
Baron Corbin's gonna be over from NXT. But if they do that, that's gonna look bad if they take a main roster person from the main roster to NXT and they just do a graphic for them. I'm like, that's not gonna. You got to put some emphasis on like making NXT worth something. It can't just be the talent pool, like you're saying.
Yeah, and that's why I don't understand why they branded it the way they did. Like they added the NXT colors to it, like NXT was going to have a spot in the draft, but they don't. There's no representation from NXT there to pick anybody. They're just, like I said, they're just wrestlers coming from NXT to Raw and SmackDown.
2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, when they're talking about the draft, they had Ava on SmackDown. I remember she was standing between Aldis and Adam Pearce. What happened to her? Why they didn't even have her on the show?
Yeah, I don't know why they did it that way. Maybe they'll address that on Monday, but yeah, I don't know. See, there's a few that were announced on social media. The OC, of course, is staying put on SmackDown. Baron Corbin will be moving to SmackDown from NXT. Cedric and Ashanti, we mentioned earlier, will be moving to SmackDown. And then the rest of this is pretty much just what it was. All of these people are staying put. Shayna Baszler is staying on Raw. Zoe Starks is staying on Raw. Ivar is also staying on Raw. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are moving to Raw from SmackDown.
I like them.
But not much to write home about for this draft so far. It's just been pretty much run-of-the-mill. Hopefully it picks up on Monday. I hope that they're saving the big stuff for Monday.
I feel like Gunther's gonna be the number one pick on Monday for Raw, and it's like that's just the same shit.
I think it's gonna be something like that, like something expected to be the number one pick. But yeah, and then also like they promoted Punk to be on both nights of the Raw of the draft, and then he wasn't on TV last night. He came on after the cameras went off the air. Which, okay. He took there's that picture going around of him standing among the crowd watching the last match of the show. I was just like, okay. Well,
if anything, they should have, because when your homeboy Triple H came out at the beginning, he had Cody help him. He probably should have just brought out Punk to help him. Like, if you're going to have him here, at least have him present one of these draft things. Maybe, I don't know. On commentary or something. Like, why wasn't he? What's going on here?
Yeah, that was an interesting choice. But yeah, I think all of the stuff on the show that built up to the actual pay-per-view, I was more interested in than the draft.
Yeah.
But we're just in that part of the year where WWE is in that holding pattern until the draft is over, and then you can actually start getting to the actual storylines.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that slow point feels like right now it just feels like we're dragging, but like it's gonna they just got to get everything reestablished and it'll be good. Hopefully Raw there's a little bit more extra though. This one just kind of felt like slow. Maybe just too much draft.
The draft stuff wasn't that interesting to me, and then like everything outside of the draft that built to the pay-per-view I was more interested in, and we didn't get it that much of that. Like the contract signing I liked the stuff with the women.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everything else I was just like, all right. We got the announcement we're getting a triple threat match for the pay-per-view. It will be Bayley defending the belt against Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. Cool. We're getting the women's tag title match as well. So
setting up. They might be setting up KO and Orton versus the Bloodline too.
Oh yeah, that was announced. That was already announced.
They announced it already.
Yeah, that's gonna be the Backlash match. KO and Randy versus Tama Tonga and Solo.
Makes sense. That could be the debut of our homeboy Jacob. That could be where he is.
He's gonna debut in France. That'd be cool.
That would be kind of cool.
But yeah, that's most of the draft talk. There wasn't much to get into. The other big news that some people are not happy about is we have a new WWE Women's World Champion. I came in last week and I was like, it's gonna be Liv. I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys sold me on it too. I was like, oh, it is going to be Liv. Phil had a pretty good argument, and they was like, oh, we don't care about that argument.
Yeah, they definitely are doing it on purpose at this point. I think they saw the reaction to Elimination Chamber, and they saw how angry fans were at Becky winning that, and they were like, "Oh, let's use this. Let's use this. Let's use the stuff from the angle with Rhea, and let's just officially turn Liv." And I think that's what's happening.
Yep.
Because we got down to Liv Becky again, and Becky eliminated her. Becky is your new WWE Women's World Champion. A lot of people were very unhappy with this. It turned into more of the Becky discourse of Becky don't put nobody over, Becky's Hogan, blah, 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 blah. I don't buy into any of that. I really like Becky. I think Becky's great. And I think when you have a star of her caliber, it makes sense to push her, especially right now with where the Raw Women's division is. You need like a big star at the forefront of that because you don't have Rhea. And so I think they made the right choice in putting the belt in Becky. I think they're making the right choice in leaning into the stuff with Liv and just turning her heel. Maybe you could have just put the belt on Liv, but
Listen, last week I questioned. I said, I know how these guys work, Philip Lindsey. I knew they didn't believe in Liv Morgan.
they didn't believe.
They didn't believe in Liv Morgan at all. And I was like, they're not going to give her the championship. Becky Lynch is one of, if not the greatest WWE women's wrestler of all time.
I think she could be the greatest.
Yeah, she could be. There's an argument.
Yeah.
Breaking case of emergency. I'm gonna probably get who could be considered the greatest women wrestler of all time to probably break a case of emergency. If I need something right now, we don't have a super concrete plans, but who could we use right now that can further this championship just by being them? Becky Lynch. What stories were you gonna tell with Liv? They're gonna try to pay off the Rhea thing whenever she gets back. They could start some stuff up, but they don't have anything immediately. And I hate that they're blaming Becky because it's not their fault. It's the company's fault. It's not Becky's fault that she's the only one in the breaking case of emergency case. They should have 10 women that we expected to win, but that's just not how they function. They just don't work like that.
Yeah, I think not having Charlotte.
She would have been the one to win,
because that's their usual breaking case of emergency is Charlotte. And I get it, man. I get Raw's women's division has been basically the Rhea show for so long, and without Rhea, it's just like, oh no, what do we do? So it's fine. I get the decision to put Becky back in the title picture and make her champion. It does look crazy that Becky just lost at WrestleMania, and then they're like, oh, we need a champion. How about Becky? It does look crazy, but I think it's the right move, man. Liv will get the win. I think at some point. I think this is all to turn her.
Like she might even be the one to beat Becky. Like it might work out better for her. Like because that win wasn't like Becky could use that. Like that.
Yeah.
It's a battle royal on the Raw. You win. You're the champion. But Liv needs a bigger moment to become world champion.
And that's kind of what I was starting to see looking at it, like because it made sense for Liv to just win, but I think having the angle where you injure Rhea and then you're not going to get the win that you would have gotten over Rhea, but you're not going to get it in a battle royal. And then when Rhea comes back, you possibly are just going to lose to Rhea anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think that gives you the moment that you should get. I think beating Becky is a bigger moment for her. And I think Becky is going to be willing to, put her over. So I think this is probably the right way to go. Liv makes more sense at this spot as a chaser. They need a heel on Raw as well because Rhea's gone, even though Rhea was starting to not be a heel no more. So I think you got to just lean in and make Liv the big heel
and they
to
just
chase
lost
the title.
They just lost Nia too, who was the other biggest heel.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is the right move. Just make Liv the heel that's going to chase Becky, and then you could give her the win somewhere down the line.
But I do understand though. If you're like, all right, fucking enough already, it probably is like, dude, again with Becky.
That is funny. Like I'm just sitting thinking of like somebody staring at their screen with like all their Liv stuff on, and you can see like the TV like flickering on their face, and they're getting all excited, and then they hear, oh.
They're just slowly stop waving their Liv Morgan flag in disappointment. Like, no, legit though, this is WWE's thing. For a long time, I watched 20 pay-per-views in a row, and every one of them ended with and then that's just what life was like.
That definitely was a life for us at some point. Like, all right, man, somebody else is gonna win, right? No, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
Like, oh
exactly.
no.
Today's the day. Nope, today is not the day. But that's just like when they invest in their people, they invest in their people. And
I
Becky
mean,
is now in that level of if we need something, we're gonna call her.
for us, it's all us getting excited to just hear dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Are you like this black guy? Dun, 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 dun,
Oh
dun,
my God.
dun. No.
Hurt
Y'all like
my
this black guy?
soul.
No, F5. Get him up out of here.
Oh, you got a new black champion? I bet you somebody else could come and beat his ass, and Brock Lesnar would come and beat their ass every time. But I mean, this generation has Roman. Like for 3 years, it was nothing. Like that's just what WWE does. They stuff one person down your throat until you hate them or you like them. It works.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm here for the decision. Becky definitely hammed it up, ran throughout the crowd, raising that belt. I did like
And the crowd, the
crowd was hot.
yeah, in
They were happy.
arena crowd,
She was out there. She was out there hugging kids, and she had the sign up that the women are running WWE right now. I mean, hard to argue with that when a black woman is the number 1 overall pick.
Saying they wasn't saying nothing about they wasn't nothing like the online people. They were like, "We love Becky, she's great." Well,
No, and
please kiss my baby.
yeah, and I mean, I said all the time, the online reaction is not indicative of what people in the arenas think. So, and I mean, when you look at those crowds love Becky. So, and I mean, if you want to heal and you want them to get booed, I think she's already in the midst of getting booed with Rhea being off TV. And some people just didn't want to see Liv win that way. And so I think if you want to keep generating heat for her beating Becky and her possibly cheating to beat Becky, I think that there's a good story you can build out of that.
Yeah, just like you're saying there, if you can't get the big win on Rhea, I mean, the next best thing is getting the big win on Becky, who has all the accolades, who has all the stuff.
It's arguably bigger deal beating Becky.
Yep. And like you said, if you cheat to win, like there's tremendous heat to come off of that.
Yeah, she's got history with Becky. Of course, when Becky was champion, she had the big match at day 1 against her that she lost. Then she had the run in the Royal Rumble where she was trying to get back there, and she lost in the Royal Rumble. She was the Iron Woman in that Royal Rumble, I believe. So there's plenty of history with her and Becky and reasons for her to beat Becky.
It's gonna happen. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
People jump off the bridge, but again, wrestling fans.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're now just building off of people's reactions, like them putting the camera on her, looking disappointed next to the ring, her backstage, showing the camera away. I think they're definitely building off of the online reaction now.
And it's gonna work every single time. Let's do a few super chats before we get up out of here. Ronan Mike Clip says saw Sandra Moon versus Mike Bailey tear the fucking house down last night at Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prestige. It was an amazing show. I'm really happy to see the continuing growth of Las Vegas wrestling scene. Yeah, Vegas is insane right now. A lot of great wrestling. I heard that show was amazing. Double or Nothing Weekend is going to be in Vegas, so I'm expecting some great independent wrestling to be happening there.
Yeah, looking forward to potentially being in Vegas. Excuse me.
Hey, what's over there? Says, do you guys have a list for the Continental Classic for this year?
I don't. I have some guys that I want to see in there because they weren't in there last year. Like Takeshita's top of my list.
Yep.
Takeshita needs to be in there. I want to see Lee Moriarty in there as well. I want to see him get kind of what Garcia got last year, where he opens people's eyes, gets to do some character work, and gets to have some good matches. I
want to see Brian in there again.
Yeah, I want to see Brian in there again, of course. Based on what he's been doing as a singles wrestler elsewhere, I wouldn't be mad at Kyle Fletcher being in there as well.
Another repeat guy, I think, would be Roosh. I don't know where Roosh is, but I'm ready to see him back in the thing. I think that work that he was doing in the tournament was sick before he had that injury or whatever he had that kind of set him back, but he was cooking in that thing.
Yeah, Roosh would be good. Get Brian Keefe in there as well. I don't know where.
BK. Yeah,
and Brian Keefe would be another one. Oh my God, Orion Anthony Bowens in the Continental Classic.
Oh,
yes. I would love to see that. Get Bowens in there.
Get Bowens in there. That's a great idea. Something like that of like, we know this guy can go. We know this guy's a great tag team wrestler, but watch him cook in all these matches, these singles matches. That's a great idea.
Yeah, Bowens would be a fun addition to the Continental Classic for sure.
Mm-hmm. Trying to see that. Tyrone Kidd says, imagine doing the draft and only a dash of new change. Well, you know.
Yeah, little sprinkles. Little sprinkle.
Sprinkle me. Dream Ninja 77 says Becky is gonna lose to Liv Clean, in my opinion, soon.
Yeah, I definitely think she's gonna drop the belt to Liv.
Yeah. And then our last super chat of the day is from Roddy Piper, who says, I get the end game, but at some point we need to get away from one of the 4 horsewomen holding a world title every year if it's truly the new era.
I mean, we're close. We're close. I think Liv is going to win the belt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that the number 1 draft pick is not a horsewoman also, I think that says there's only a matter of time before Bianca comes back to the main title picture. I think they're doing all this side quest to keep her away from it, but it's only a matter of time before she ends up back in the world title picture.
Totally. Yeah, I think that this is a placeholder, and I wanted her and Jade to win the tag team championships anyway. So,
yeah, I think that's all story stuff anyway. They're eventually going to split. Jade is going to turn on this woman. It's only a matter of time.
Yep. That's it. Thank y'all.
I believe that is all of our Humper chats as well. Let me double check just to make sure. But as always, appreciate you guys sending your super chats. Appreciate you guys sending your Humper chats. Appreciate you guys spending your Saturday with us. Shout out to my man. I forgot what his name was. That was on the train from Chicago to St. Louis, and he's watching Grapsody on the train. Really funny. Just really funny.
Amazing. Think of somebody listening to Phil while Phil's sitting up there. It's amazing.
Sitting somewhere on the train, sleep more than likely. Because I definitely slept through that entire train ride. Yeah,
nice one.
But yeah, that is all of our Humper chats. I think that is all of our. I mean, real quick, also before I get out of here, shout out to Trevor Lee. That guy's gonna be just fine. I know people were doing. I feel bad for him. I felt bad as well watching him. Just put his emotions out on the internet, and then that quote from Busted Open where he was saying that he talked to somebody back there and they said he was fine, and then a few days later he got fired anyway. That sucks. It sucks to hear that, but I think he's gonna be just fine. Really talented guy. I thought he was doing well with the Cameron Grimes gimmick in NXT. He's one of those. I'm just so surprised he didn't end up being a slam dunk for him, but he's gonna be just fine.
Yeah, he's about to get on the independent scene and absolutely cook, and it's gonna change every perception, and they're gonna remember why he is who he is. He'll be great.
Yeah, I would not be surprised by sometime next year, by WrestleMania year, we're gonna see like him versus Speedball and all the other indie wrestlers. He's gonna have his list of matches for that year, and he's gonna be somewhere else. He'll be fine.
Definitely.
But you know what it is. This has been Grapsody. It's been a blast talking about wrestling with you guys. It's been a blast going over one of the best shows of the year, talking about our new AEW World Champion. But we are out of here. You can catch us next week, and I believe we are going to be...
we got to figure that out.
We're going to be reviewing Backlash next week, so it might not be an episode of Grapsody next Saturday. But you will see me and Reg doing the post-show for Backlash with Denise Salcedo. Till then, you know what it is. This has been Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey, Righteous Reg. We are out.